Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Red Dot Forum Camera Talk. As always, I am David Farkas. I'm joined by Josh Lehrer.
Hey, everybody.
Got Jose Rivera over there in the little...
Hello. Over there. Well, we point to him there, but he's...
There, yep. He's over there, but he's actually down there.
Yes.
Yeah. So welcome back. We are coming to at a slightly different time, same place, but it is Sunday night if you're watching us live, not Saturday. Congratulations. Right. You have unlocked Sunday status. We wanted to bring the show to you, but we have a lot of busy summer schedules, which kind of leads into the topic of this conversation.
Oh, light switch.
Sure. Yep. We
left our fluorescent lights on.
Hey, that looks nicer.
We really got our act together tonight.
We're doing great. We're doing great. Okay.
Much better.
But before we dive into that, I just want to acknowledge that Josh and I were just in Germany for the 100-year celebration.
The century celebration.
Centennial.
100 years since the first Leica camera hit the market. They are doing these events in 7 cities across the world. Mm-hmm. There's still a few left to go. We live streamed from Germany, so if you watched that, and you know we were there.
Yep.
And I guess we had to shout out Leica Society for both
LSI.
Getting us the invite as well as bringing a bunch of people there to Leica Camera for putting on a wildly awesome, so much programming. They brought out all the big guns, amazing photographers. Ralph Gibson, Joel Meyerowitz, and et cetera. It was wild. It was great. So we were gone for a bit.
We were, but we're back.
But now we are back.
Yes, and we're here.
Yes.
Back in plaid.
Back in front, because we were wearing suits in the other.
Throws people off.
I know, right? Yes.
We're keeping you on your toes.
Exactly.
Right. But we are now back in plaid, roasting our faces off because it is summer here, and we are gearing up to have even more summer travels. So we figured, why not talk about how we go through the thought process of building out a kit for our summer or late summer, early fall travel.
Of course, we have viewers from Australia and stuff, so...
Yeah, was it spring? It's spring. Spring travel.
It's
winter.
It's winter, isn't
winter.
it? Isn't that how equators work? I don't know.
Whatever. But it's summer somewhere. It's summer and half the world.
Right.
So we are coming at you with our take on how to both build out a kit, but also the thought process behind why you'd make certain decisions. And I think we're going to lead off with that. We're going to talk about the different types of travel that you may do. Mm-hmm. Then we'll go through each kit. As you can see, I brought entirely too much stuff.
Yeah, this is not even all of it.
This isn't, there's actually more in the wings here and behind us. So we have a lot to cover. We're going to go through this, but we'll talk about the type of travel. Then we're going to go through the different systems. So we'll talk about Q, M, SL, and what you can do to kind of build those kits out. And then we're going to talk about all the things around it, how to carry them and how to transport it and how to charge them and all that stuff. Yeah. So stay tuned. It's going to be a lot. And we're going to try to get through all of it. And also take your questions. Please drop them in the comments if you haven't already. All right, let's just go for it. Basically, when we talk about travel, this doesn't have to be specifically for summer, obviously. But we were talking about this before the show, that there's essentially 2 main categories of travel, right? And one of them is traveling and taking pictures also, right? So family travel, traveling with a group of friends. Maybe you're going, not for summer, but something like skiing or boating. Or the second one is going on a photo workshop.
I said work travel.
Oh, work travel,
yes,
right.
This first category. Sorry. So we just did, yeah.
Right, work travel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for instance, we went to Germany. Right. We weren't really there for photography. We were there for celebrating photography.
Something photography adjacent?
Yeah. So, I just took a Q343 with me because I didn't really have the time or the ability to go out and just be a dedicated photo trip. Mm-hmm. The second type of travel.
In the second travel in this context of this episode.
In this concept of this episode, right.
That is travel for photography. So that's where you are traveling for the purpose of making photographs. That could be doing a workshop with Leica Store Miami or with someone else if you just hate us that much.
Yeah.
Or if you're just traveling on your own. Or maybe you're going with family and they're super tolerant of you just disappearing the whole time. So those are the two kind of main kinds of travel that we'll be focusing on, I think, for this program, and kind of guiding you through the thought process depending on that kind of travel you're going to be doing.
Yes, exactly. So,
and we're going to do it by system, I think.
Yes.
Although I have a feeling we're going to start that way, and then it's going to devolve into madness.
Listen, we got to. Like I said, we're just going to go for it.
We're staying positive. It's going to be fun. So you want to start with the smallest?
We are. We're going to start with the smallest, and let's just call it the. This is a. I don't mean this as a negative connotation, but the least flexible, meaning, or the least extensible, because when we talk about the Q3, it is what it is, right? It has a fixed lens on a fixed body. This is what you get. You cannot, when I say flexibility, I don't mean the kind of pictures that you can take. I mean the things that you can put on this camera to change it.
Right.
Right. So we're going to talk about the Q3 first.
Yes, so the Q system, which has been around since 2015, for that whole time only had a 28mm lens, which of course now we have a little bit more options. But the ethos of the Q system, in my opinion, is still based around the 28. So the question that you have to ask yourself is, are you familiar with 28 or not? I think to start. Now, of course, if you're an M shooter or an SL shooter, the odds are pretty high that you either have or have had a 28mm lens. So you may be very familiar with the focal length. But if you're not, it can be a little bit different. This, I think, is the same. I know we get into this all the time. The iPhone 1X is 26mm.
28 according to the
28?
iPhone.
Okay, but it's like a little wider.
If you click it again, it's 24, so it's sort of 28 and 24.
So this is a focal length that ironically almost everybody on the planet is familiar with their phones. It's just not one that we're used to having to be forced to choose from or forced to use as our only lens on a camera. Unless, of course, you go out with an M and a 28 and nothing else. But anyway, that aside. Yeah. So the question is, if you're going for what I would consider to be the most minimal travel kit possible, you could bring this.
Yes.
It's a bold move. However...
Yes.
Well, I was going to ask you.
Yeah, sure.
Let's throw out a situation for me where this actually may be just bringing a Q3 and nothing else could be the way to go for a travel scenario.
Well, certainly, I think for, let's call it class 1 travel, right?
Yeah.
Not first class, class 1. Class 1 travel where you are carting the family off to vacation or you're getting together with a group of friends and, going fishing or whatever you do with friends. I wouldn't know, there's no friends, so.
You don't go fishing.
I don't go fishing, yeah.
Like I said, maybe fishing workshop coming up.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, so, or you're going on a hiking trip where weight is an issue, and again, you're trying to cover distance, not necessarily take pictures. So these are all in that class 1 travel bucket. And the advantage of the Q3 28, is it does give you flexibility because you can shoot wide, and of course, you can crop in. So you can use either those virtual crops at 35 or 50. I kind of would stop there personally.
Yeah.
But you have a lot of resolution to spare.
Yeah.
And having that wide is just like the flexibility that you have on your phone camera. Most people just use 28. The 1X, sometimes they'll zoom in a little bit.
Yeah.
Most people probably don't zoom out because they're like, oh, that's too wide, and go from there. I have personally taken the Q3 with me as the only camera. I have also done street photography workshops. So I did a trip to Paris and only used the Q3, the 28, when it first came out. And I was blown away by how flexible a solution it was. And the thing, just like any one camera, one lens setup, is you start to see and kind of hone in and find pictures that fit that focal length.
And one thing I'll comment on that, and I think happens to some people, is that is what happens, but it's not going to happen on a trip. What I mean is, if you're deciding to bring a Q3 or a Q2 or an original Q with you on your travels, and the photography aspect is important, even though it may not be the main focus, I think the goal needs to be a higher level of familiarity with 28 if you don't have it already. So if, let's say, you have your Q and you really only use it for those kinds of trips, well, I would encourage you to try to fit it into some of your other photography because you don't want to necessarily go to your destination, go to Paris, go to wherever. Say, great, now is the chance I get to use my Q3. I've heard from David and Josh that it's the perfect travel camera for this trip, and then realize that you're not comfortable with 28.
Yeah.
Because if you're not, well, you can get used to it, but if you're used to 50 or if you're used to having zooms, it's going to feel a little bit foreign because it is relatively wide compared to a 35, 50, or even a 75.
Exactly.
So you want to make sure that you kind of know what to expect when it comes to how much the camera sees and kind of takes in.
Yeah. Now, we do have another alternative in the Q system now, right? As of
somewhat September last year.
Yeah,
recently,
yeah,
less
late
than a year
last
ago.
year.
Yeah.
And that is the Q343. Obviously, these are the same camera. I don't know if you want to show them side by side, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, we have it. Obviously, we have.
Oh, one has a hand grip on it, but
well, yes, I can take it off. It's not exactly the same. Yeah, obviously, we have a whole show on the Q343. We've talked about it quite a lot. You want to do like an overhead view here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So, what do we have there?
There's a Q3 on the left and a Q343 on the right. Pretty self-explanatory. Obviously, the camera part here back is exactly the same. The lens is a little bit different. I remember when it first came out, I think we were wondering, like, were we going to notice that the lens is a little bit bigger or different size? But now that it's been almost a year and I've shot with the camera as well as you have quite a lot, I can't even tell which one I have with me unless I look at it.
Right.
You know, I'm just like, they're the same.
If you look at the front, if you flip them over, you'll see that one is black and one is gray.
Yeah, the leather is different and the hood's different.
It's very subtle.
But in the hand, these cameras don't, in my opinion, feel any different.
They feel exactly
they take all the same accessories. So the grip and the thumb support and all that stuff's going to be exactly the same for the most part. So the Q343, personally for me, changed the way that I do travel photography because most of my work, if you guys know, is like automotive or watch photography.
Sure.
And it didn't lend itself to a 28, so I rarely shot anything wider than 50 actually. So when the Q343 came out, I started traveling with the Q a lot more, and I loved it. Like, I want one. I want one really badly, but I'm too busy spending money on watches and stuff.
So this one's mine.
But the reality is that focal length for me, because it was one that I was already familiar with, not necessarily 43 exactly, but that range, I was able to take my existing familiarity and then integrate that camera into my sort of non-serious travel or non-photography serious traveling, where I had a camera that I could actually use seriously and make images. If you look at the what's the behind the shot series I made that for him.
Let me bring that up because that's a really cool.
Yeah, that my section or my image that I contributed was shot with the Q343.
Here, Jose, give over to the computer here.
Yeah, I don't know if we've talked about that on the show yet.
No, we haven't actually.
So we did a.
Jose, give us the.
Kevin Kirsten did all the work, but
So if you look at Red Dot Forum and go to Inspiration, and you'll see here a lovely picture of my hand. There we go. So this is behind the shot, and what's really cool is every one of our team members here took just a single image that they liked and talked about the camera they used, the thought process behind it. Here's one from Jose. Look at that.
We can drop this in the chat too.
Right.
The link. Yeah.
We can drop a link, and so Colin. Here's one for me, and Adam, and Kirsten, and there's Josh.
So that image was taken on my first real outing. I think that was maybe even before it was officially launched. I think we got like a test camera. It was just a few days before. And I was on a trip for a couple of days up in West Virginia area. And I obviously hadn't used it before that because it was so new. And I fell in love with it immediately. I'm out with my friend, and he's got SL gear, and I actually had an SL3 as well. We're doing all this serious photography, but at a certain point, I'm letting him do his thing, and I'm just kind of exploring where we're at, and I just have that Q343 on me, and I'm exploring all kinds of angles and getting around, and I'm just feeling like every shot that I'm taking is just the way that I want it. The compression and the performance, so that, that's that little camera that you could look at kind of casually and say, oh, that's just for casual photography. The reality is that was producing the kind of work that I would normally do with an SL3 or an SL2.
Yeah, because that lens is just so good, right?
Yes, exactly. And and also the focal length for me really, really spoke to me. So, obviously a 43 is not as ideal for street photography or documentary style compared to a 28, but for what I was doing, it suited me really well.
Sure.
Now you've gone out with both, right?
I have, yeah.
So talk to me about that a little bit.
Well, we can come back to both of us here.
Yes.
So I had a trip, sometimes when we're talking about traveling, you do have weight and size limitations depending on where you're going. So when I was heading off to Bhutan, which took like 2 to 3 days to get there through 6 flights, and I mean, it really is all the way on the other side of the world for us, and it's a difficult place to get to. Not a lot of people go there. If you want to go there, you should go there with Leica Store Miami Photo Workshops.
That's right.
So I kind of took a bold move, which was I took a Q343 and a Q3. And if I'm being really honest with all of you people, maybe not with myself, because in my mind I'm like, I'm just using a Q3 and a Q343. I also did bring an M11 with a 90 millimeter. And when I look, just so I had the range of stuff, right? So I had 28, 43, 90.
Yep.
And I felt that was more than enough. I knew for a fact that I couldn't go into the monasteries, or you can go into the monasteries. You can't photograph in the monasteries. It's not allowed. So I knew that going in, which means I knew there would be no interiors, no architectural. And basically, as a cultural trip, not so much a landscape trip, maybe a little casual landscape here and there, but mostly cultural trip meant people, reportage, right? This was, I think, between the two cameras, the 28 and the 43, covered most everything I needed. In fact, when I look in Lightroom and I look at my selects, it was call it a 4:1 ratio. So I had the most number of pictures taken with the 43 because it is that normal 35 focal length that I'm so accustomed to.
Yeah.
I had the second most pictures shot with the Q3, and I had the least number of pictures shot with the 90, which you kind of expect.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Right? And even if I was using a different camera setup and I had 28, 35, or 28, 50, 90, essentially, I would expect the same breakdown. I would expect the most pictures shot with the 50, the second most with the 28, and the third most with the 90. And it just played out that way. That wasn't planned. I mainly just carried the 2 Qs, and sometimes I'd take out the M11 with the 90, depending on the circumstance.
Now,
and it worked great.
Now, for you, you had shot with all 3 of those combinations prior to that trip.
Of course.
Now, I would assume, just for the sake of saying this out loud, that your experience with those focal lengths allowed you to pre-visualize the kind of photography you knew you'd be doing. You weren't necessarily just bringing them as a gimmick or to say, oh, look at me bringing these 2 Qs. It was because you knew, based on the environment you would be in, the scenery you would find, the people you would be around, and the restrictions you had, that those were the right tools for that job.
Absolutely.
Where an SL3 with a 24-90 would not have gotten the job done the same way.
It could have, but it would have been, I think, especially when you're shooting people in these places where they're not used to a lot of tourists. Listen, the Bhutanese people are like the nicest people you will ever meet, and it's almost hilarious because it's still a bunch of photographers. It's still a bunch of photographers with cameras, right?
Right.
And I'll give you a simple example before we go on. We saw this guy walking his cow, as people do.
As one does, yeah.
As one does, walking his cow up the street. And we're like, well, that's neat. So everyone kind of lined up in the street and went to wait for this guy to come into frame. I was like, come on, look, let's go over here. And he just stopped. He just stopped, stood there, posed, made sure his cow was posing nicely, and let us take all the pictures we want. And then we saw this moped coming around the bend up that same road. And we're like, oh boy, we better get our shots and get out of here. Nope. The moped guy came right up to the guy with the cow and stopped. Flipped his helmet up and posed.
I love it.
And then, of course, they both thanked us for taking the pictures. So they are the absolute nicest people you will ever meet. They love having their pictures taken, and it was, But bottom line, I think the cues really worked out. And something that I like, especially for people and reportage in these faster moving environments where you don't have a lot of time with the subjects. In this case, going, these young monks who are studying at the monasteries, they're kids, and kids are pretty wild and move around a lot. Even Buddhist monks, right?
Yeah.
I love the face detection using the hybrid autofocus system on the Q3 and the Q343 because You just let the camera do the work, and it just nails it.
And one of the interesting parts about the Q3 and its interface and the face detection is it's a very easy camera to hand to someone else.
It is.
Whether that's someone who's taking your picture or a group a photo, or someone who you just want to try the camera out for whatever reason. So to hand somebody if you ever handed somebody an M who doesn't know how to use an M and tried to explain them how to use it, it's not even worth the time.
Sure.
You hand them an SL and they're going to drop it. But you hand somebody a Q3, especially if it's in full auto with face detection, they can figure that out in 2 seconds. It's just like using their phone. They just pick it up,
push, and done.
And it's done. So the handoff ability, to make up that word, of the Q3 or any Q camera really is extremely high. So it really makes it easy if you're traveling with family to hand it to the family, or if you're at a restaurant to the server or whatever, for someone else to use it, which I think is an underappreciated advantage.
Yeah.
The other thing that I like about the Q3 on that same vein is it's very dinner table friendly.
Oh yeah.
So let's say David and I are traveling for work and, we're doing events and we have, customer dinners and Leica corporate dinners and all these different things like we did. It's kind of challenging at a busy banquet table to have an SL3 and a 24-90, despite the fact that we use that setup often.
Sure.
A camera like a Q3 or a Q2 or Q2 monochrome, whatever, it doesn't get in the way.
No.
It just kind of lives there. It looks cool. It's a nice prop for your food shots, when you're taking the phone out.
Well, do not undersell the macro mode on here. It is
also
awesome.
true. Yes.
On both of them. It's great.
Also true, yes.
Okay.
So it is a very easy camera to have with you in those kind of environments.
Sure. So I'm just going to hit this point home also. We talked about it. I don't know if we talked about it in our Q343 episode, but it's worth repeating, which is we see a lot of people who are transitioning from a Q328 to a Q343. And it's a little puzzling to us because it's a completely different focal length. The camera might be the same, but we hear the commentary. I've heard this specifically. The Q3 is my favorite camera. And before that, the Q2 was my favorite camera. And I want to trade it in to get a Q343. I'm like, say that again. Just say it slower, because what you loved about the Q2 and the Q3, maybe you like 28 a lot, right? Were you miserable with that focal length? And
all those years you had those cameras?
It's sort of like if someone has a 28 millimeter on their M and they use it all the time and they love it. It's like, oh, it's my favorite lens for travel.
Yeah.
I want to trade it for a 50.
Right.
Like,
which does happen, but it's very, very rare. Now, if it's never used, that's another story. But if it's never used, you shouldn't have gone from a Q2 to a Q3.
Right.
You should have called us and said, give me something else. So I do think the Q3 and the Q343 make an amazing pair. I know a fair number of individuals, including David, who are traveling with both.
Love it.
Not necessarily all the time, but in situations where they're not going on a photography-centric trip, or where they just want something super light, super easy to use, whether there's weight restrictions or they know someone else is going to be using it or whatever. A lot of people are also doing, I see Q343 and Q2 monochrome.
Sure.
Which is a really popular combination as well, because they're so different, but also so familiar.
So
at the
familiar,
same
exactly.
time.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
And of course, we can't undersell the weather sealing on these.
Yes, that's a huge advantage of starting with the Q2 and going to the Q3 is they're weather and dust sealed. So if it starts to rain a little bit or if it's a dustier environment, you don't have to put it away. You just keep shooting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I think we kind of covered that. Okay, let me put that back up here. We got to stay organized.
That's right. Do we now?
We do.
All right. We'll see how long that lasts.
Okay. The other camera, actually, that we didn't talk about, I'll let you kind of show that.
Oh yes, the DX8. So we have a whole show on this camera. This is a fascinating evolution of 25 years of Leica compact cameras. And love them or hate them, they have always served a valuable purpose in the Leica product portfolio, whether as a gateway for individuals who are looking to get into Leica or as the smallest Leica you can buy if you need something that's pocketable, depending on how big your pockets are. But what's surprising about the DX8 is how powerful and effective it is, even though it is a compact point-and-shoot camera. We, when we did our show, I took this camera to a concert in Pittsburgh, and I shot super low-light stuff with it, ISO 3200, ISO 5000, and it blew my mind how good it was. And I had done some iPhone photography at the same time, and I showed them how they compare, and it wasn't even close. So I think the DX8 is, ironically, one of the most exciting Leica releases in years because the biggest downside to compact cameras from a usability standpoint has been the interface. even the Leica compact cameras, lots of buttons,
Oh, yeah.
lots of settings, lots of confusing terminology and things that just kind of were meshed together. So what Leica did with the DX8 was completely redesign the body and redesign the menu system so it's as easy to use as a Q.
Yeah, you get a close up on that.
I mean, the interface is very Q-like. There we go. It is.
Well, we'll first start with the physical dials on the top.
I mean, you're right. You've got aperture dial, shutter speed dial, and then a flexible, customizable dial either for ISO or for exposure compensation. You've got a threaded shutter button. You've got function buttons here on the back. You've got this as a function button. And the interface is, you look at this like, oh, it's like turning on a Q. I mean, it looks like
exactly the same.
any of the other Leica cameras you would own. Extremely customizable, very small. I mean, you can see it's got a nice built-in viewfinder that's actually usable. It's not just like this dim little tunnel. A full range of accessories available for it. Comes with a little flash. This is kind of the unsung hero of the Leica catalog. It's easy to dismiss it because it's a point and shoot, but don't. Because when you're in a situation where you just don't want to bring a camera, but you really do, this is extremely useful and it blows a smartphone out of the water. Look,
Absolutely.
iPhones are great. I have one. Everyone in this room has one.
But show the comparison of the size of the lens on the phone versus the lens that you have here.
Yeah, I mean, there's no comparison, right? Obviously. I mean,
Yeah,
this is it's a much larger sensor. It's a much larger lens. It's also a camera that's designed to be a camera.
Exactly.
Look, the phone and phone photography has a huge place in our hearts, and we do it all the time. I have no problem with that. But if you want to do any kind of printing, editing, manipulation, or significant sharing, or you want to have manual, full manual control, real manual control, then a camera like the DX8 is great. It even has a actual manual focus ring on the lens. I mean, it's so cool. I don't know why everyone doesn't just have one of these. I guess they've been hard to get for a while, although we're getting some.
They are hard to get.
We're getting some this week.
We are getting some.
I don't know if we're going to have enough in stock, but
All right.
but
Well,
anyway.
oh.
DX8, worth a watch of that DX8 episode if you can, because it really, it's just so easy to have with you all the time.
Yeah.
That's how I'll summarize.
Especially I'd say for work travel where you could just throw this in your work bag. Like anybody could slide this in their computer bag, no problem, right? So you can always have a camera with you. Okay, moving on.
Oh, yes.
This one is going to be a little more
Intense.
involved because it is the M.
Ooh, the M. But the M is so simple.
Ironically. Well, the M is simple, except we have how many years now of
71 years of M.
71 years of M,
Yes.
which means we have a huge back catalog of lenses to choose from. We have a lot of modern lenses. Now there's close to 30 current lenses,
A lot.
if you count color variation.
And about 1 million from the back catalog.
And about 1 million from the back catalog.
I'm exaggerating.
And that doesn't even count the third-party lenses that are popping up
Correct.
these days with
Correct.
from
So
various places.
let me start with a question for you.
Yes.
Because I think traveling with M is the topic of travel we get the most questions about
Absolutely.
by far.
Yes.
And it mostly centers around lens choice.
Sure.
Because the cameras, yes, we're going to talk about how some of the key differences in different models make a difference when you travel, but fundamentally they're very similar, whereas the lenses are spread so wide.
They are.
So from your perspective, what are some of the things you're thinking about specifically for traveling with an M? Not just for like, going around town here, but specifically for traveling with an M, not thinking about the body. Let's talk about lens selection.
Sure.
Give me a little bit of your workflow with lens selection, both in terms of focal length, aperture, and maybe some other sort of less considered characteristics.
Well, I'm going to start with the second to last one, technically, of what you said.
Sure.
Which is aperture.
Okay.
Now, this used to be pretty cut and dry.
Right.
And if you look at Leica's back catalog through the ages, you can kind of see where that logic is, right? Early on, the lenses weren't very fast, and then somewhere along the way, I'm sure Josh can tell us exactly when, although this steel rim is sort of a reminder of that.
Yep.
Right? When Leica came out with the steel rim, the 3514, that was kind of a game changer for being able to shoot in lower light scenarios. Now, why did that matter? Because when that came out in 1950...
Well, the 50 Summilux came first.
Oh, okay, well...
59, yeah.
59, right.
But it's same idea. Yeah.
So in the mid to late 50s, Leica started coming out with the 1.4 lenses. Now, that mattered because people were shooting on film. They did not have the... Film?
I don't know what this is.
Right, film. Right, they were shooting on film.
Yes.
And they were shooting on 1950s film,
boy.
which meant not a lot of low lightability, right? People complain about, digital camera sensors from the early days. It's like, try shooting on film from, 1960. Grain the size of golf balls if you got over 400. So Leica was one of the first companies to focus on these faster, higher performing low light lenses. And when they came out with the Noctilux in 1966, that was also a game changer. Having an f1 lens was
1.2 to begin with.
well, the original one, 1.2. Okay, sorry, f1.2 in 1966.
We'll get flamed if we don't get
We
this
would
right,
get
so,
played.
yeah,
Yes,
it's okay.
the original Noctilux, and then later the f1 Noctilux.
yes.
These were really significant advances because you could only handhold so much, right? There's no image stabilization unless you have a tripod, which a lot of people shooting with Leica M's did not use tripods. It was a lot of handheld reportage work. And as time went on, we can even see lenses that were sort of a casualty of this thinking, which was, say, the Mate, right?
Sure.
Right, the 28-35-50 f4. Leica envisioned this as a compact travel lens, ironically.
Yeah.
3 focal lengths in one, the most common, 28, 35, and 50. And it sold like stale bread.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted it because it was brought out in the era of film. It was pre-digital, and it was just too slow. F4 just was not a practical choice. The same goes for this lens, which is the 90 f4 collapsible macro,
Ultimate underdog lens.
which we'll get to. Okay, so that, and a little trivia, this 90 was designed to pair up with the medium angle Tri-Elmar. This was supposed to be the ultimate travel kit. But everyone looked at this and said, F4, what am I going to shoot at like half a second? I can't do that.
Right.
Because we're still in the era of film. As digital has advanced with every generation, now when we get to something like an M11, the M11 in color can shoot beautifully at 16,000 ISO.
Yeah.
The M11 monochrome, forget it, like 40,000 ISO. This is pure science fiction 20 years ago.
Yeah, if you could imagine, like, even in the early 2000s, telling someone they could shoot at ISO 16,000.
Nobody would believe you.
They would think that's not even a thing. That's impossible.
April Fools.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
That, and I actually remember back to the early 2000s when people would have April Fools posting on digital camera forums of some camera that could shoot at 10,000 ISO. You're like, aha, got you.
That's right. That's a fantasy. It's never going to happen.
And meanwhile, here we are living in that reality. And when we look at, because the same sensor that's in the M11 is in the Q3 generation cameras and in the SL3, we have all these cameras that can shoot at least 10,000 ISO. And then cameras like the M11 monochrome or, for instance, the SL3S can shoot even higher than that. So now our lens selection is sort of irrelevant of aperture in terms of what you can actually go out, what you need to go out and shoot in different lighting scenarios. You don't have to be constrained to daylight shooting if you have a 2.8, a 3.8, an f4 lens. You can now do anything you want. And I have some examples. For instance, on the M11 monochrome review, I specifically used the 90 f4 macro. And I actually, for my entire review, I didn't use a lens faster than f2 for the very reason that I didn't have to. So now aperture becomes a creative choice, not a light gathering necessity. And I think we need to kind of adjust our brains a little bit as photographers to make that choice. So now, where does that leave us? What would you say to that in terms of the ability to change your lens selection based on size now rather than on what lighting you're going to need?
I mean, it's certainly nice to have one less thing dragging you down, I guess would be. Where I, even in the days of the M9, remember talking with you about when the FLE came out, how big of a deal the FLE 35 zoom lux was because of how good it was at 1.4 because we needed it.
Yes.
Now, I'm not going to say that I don't care about wide open performance, but I definitely care a lot less because if I need sharpness, like maximum sharpness corner to corner on any lens of any system, I just stop it down and I don't care because I can go so high on the ISO, especially with modern like AI noise reduction, which is just getting better all the time.
Sure.
Who knows where that technology is going to lead us? So for me, I am having the most fun allowing, like you're saying, the aperture to be a creative choice.
Yes.
Where I say to myself, creatively, do I need to shoot this at f1.4 Or is it more important that I have the smallest possible lens so I can get into a place I couldn't have gotten otherwise?
Exactly.
And I can think about things in a different way, even in what's crazy to me is like, I've been here 15 years, so that's not a long time in the history of photography. But even in that little slice of 15 years, I can think about how I've been able to change the way that I approach building my travel kits because I no longer am tied down to having to use fast glass.
Exactly.
And you can imagine, a kit with like a 28 Summicron, a 35 Summilux, a 50 Noctilux, a 90 Summicron, all great lenses, but all relatively heavy compared to some of their lightweight alternatives. You put that in a bag and you've got a pretty significant pile of lenses with you.
Yeah. So now, creative choice.
Yes.
Also, another benefit of technology is, and of course with Leica, is there's no such thing as a starter lens or a kit lens, right?
Right.
There's no low-level lenses. Sure, there are lenses that are exceptionally good, that stand out from the pack a little bit, but at a base level, there is no bad or poorly performing M lenses. Like, it just doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
If you want that, you can go back to the vintage catalog.
That's right. If you want soft corners and vignetting and chromatic aberration, you can
Now I say that only like a little bit tongue-in-cheek because the fact of the matter is, again, that becomes a creative choice.
Sure.
Because these cameras can now really take advantage of that vintage glass because you can actually focus it.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this before, but a question we get a lot is, oh, can I use this 80s lens on a 60 megapixel camera? Is it going to be okay? And I think it's the opposite. I think vintage lenses are more usable and more magical now than they've ever been.
Sure.
And I'm using more vintage glass than ever, and I'm loving it. I'm not using it all the time because I do like a modern high-performance lens, but I think vintage lenses are having a major renaissance, and that's evident just in how much the prices have risen in the last few years.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk nuts and bolts here.
Yeah.
And before we are talking lenses, so I think the best way to organize this is, okay, let's talk about the most minimal kit that you can go out with, which kind of going with that Q philosophy is that one camera, one lens. And I think I know what I like, although I have to be honest, just this one time, I am torn. I am absolutely
I'm shocked.
torn every single time I have to make this choice. When I say the one lens, now it's the same focal length for me, but it's two different lenses, and I love them both like children, and it's so difficult to choose a favorite.
Oh, boy.
You could probably guess what I'm talking about.
I can, but why don't you tell us?
Okay. And I don't actually think I brought one of them on purpose, or actually I see it over there. Jose brought it, but all right, where is my, first let's grab a camera here. And I'm gonna do that. Okay. So, drum roll, please. If anyone wants to guess while I'm actually putting this together, they can,
I think it's obvious.
It's obvious at this point because I've said so many times.
Starts with a 3, ends with a 5.
Exactly.
Rhymes with
Nothing.
35.
There you go. Got it. So,
Okay.
Yes, David is constantly torn between the 35 Apo M and the 35 Summilux FLE2
Yes.
M.
Which are both
Yes.
phenomenally good lenses.
Yes.
Slightly different character, but they both have close focus ability, which has been a game changer because the same way that we see the macro function on the Q, having that close focus ability first that came out on the 35 Apo Summicron, it just completely changed the way that I was able to shoot with an M because it made it just so much more flexible, especially for travel photography. So let's get a close-up of my preferred one camera, one lens kit, which is right here.
Nice.
And it is nice and small. We got a jewel of a lens on there. I absolutely adore this lens. It has a few marks from my love, but
I think I replaced that hood once already too.
yeah, maybe. That's the nice thing. The hood is replaceable.
Yeah,
so,
that's right.
Usually that takes the brunt of it. So just like any other M lens, it'll focus down to 0.7 meters, and then it has this close focus mode all the way down to 0.3
And it
meters.
does focus closer than the Summilux does, so
It does.
That is a nice advantage.
Yeah, so this is a little bit closer, but it's super, super small. And in terms of image quality, this combination between an M11P and a 35 Apo Summicron, it's pretty unbeatable. I mean, you could come back. Speaking of lenses that are, everything is really this good, and then there's others that are just like this. This is one of those lenses. The 35 Apo Summicron
what I'll say
to me
is
just
wide open performance is actually more different than you might realize if you're actually doing it like control testing, like I love to do. If you want that mystical corner softness, fast focus fall off, the Summilux is noticeably more of that. But if you're doing landscape, architecture, interior, especially if you're going to be wide open, like David does a lot, the Oppo is your friend there. But I think what's cool about this is just how small this is.
So good.
If you put a low profile strap on there and that's it, like no other gizmos or gadgets, you put that in a coat pocket, honestly.
Yeah. Big coat, but yeah.
Yeah, well, like a trench coat.
So this is solid setup. And this lens, just love this lens. Okay, so that's a one camera, one lens setup.
Yeah.
Now, building out from there, how do you choose? We often say the best way to build out a camera kit is first, what are you taking pictures of? Right? You have to ask the right questions.
Well, that's why we always,
It depends.
Because, yes, we get this all the time. Someone will ask us a question like, what lens should I bring? And they'll say, I know it depends. And I go, well,
it does.
It depends because you need to give us context. That's how we make recommendations. We have 2 episodes about it depends. So
we do.
Watch them before you ask us any questions.
Okay, so here's where it depends.
Yeah.
What are you taking pictures of? If you're traveling, you probably know where you're going.
I would hope.
Hopefully.
I mean, they're trying to have a car.
Some people just are vagabonds and hey, whatever happens, happens. So I always recommend when I'm going to a new place, I will go online and I will search for pictures of that place. I might try to see if, for instance, if there's photographers that I'm familiar with, or you can go on Instagram, you can search the place, you can go on Google Pictures, you can find images easier now than ever of some place that you're going as a destination. Now, I will tell you right off the bat, especially if you're looking on Google, 80% of them are just not great. So you're already ahead of the game there. You haven't even gone, and you're still ahead of the game.
That's right.
Because most of them are phone pictures, and you can tell. But at least it gives you some kind of photographic idea, so you can think, wait a minute, I'm going to go to this city in Morocco, and it's tiny little alleys and these street markets. And if I'm going to go with 2 lenses, because now we're talking about a second lens. So let's say you have a 35 as your main lens. Do you really think you'd want a 90 as your second lens? Probably not, because you're in that really tight enclosed space. So I would say, look at something like the 21 Super Apo, or Super
Elmar.
Super Elmar, not Apo. That's the SL.
We'll get to that. Don't worry.
So this is the 21 Super Elmar, or SEM, people abbreviate it. Again, also really nice, small, and compact lens that is just magical performer, right? This lens, what's great about that kind of environment and where I think it shines as one of the best street photography lenses, or just general travel lens where you're trying to capture a flavor of the place.
And also
so good.
Really nice because a lot of wide-angle M lenses are difficult to filter. You need to have adapters and all kinds of crazy things, but the 21 Super Almar, standard E46 filter thread, just makes it super easy to color filters, NDs, polarizers, whatever. It's no
like
problem.
This, because this is a 46 millimeter filter, right?
That. Amazing.
Amazing. So let's get a shot of that, and you can see it versus the 35. So actually very, very similar. Just be aware this is 39 millimeter filter size, and we've got 46.
Yeah.
But it doesn't flare at all like the old lenses. It's just a nice, smooth thing. And in fact, you take the lens shade off, super easy to put a filter on, and the lens shade goes right over whatever filter you might put on, especially if you're shooting in black and white. And like Josh said, the fact that I can shoot ultra wide at a 21 and still have standard filtration is really handy. So between, let's say, these 2 lenses, you'd be able to shoot your ultra wide street photography. You can do amazing interiors in churches and mosques and temples. And with the 35, because the resolution combination of the lens and the camera, you can crop if you need to. You could crop in and easily make a 50 if need be, or even longer depending on what your use case is. So that's a pretty compact 2 lens setup. Now, if we're building out from there, I think for me, it's a no-brainer what I'm going to mention next.
Oh, well, I have a different line of thinking, which we talked about a bit earlier, but you can go first.
I'm going to give my example here,
Okay.
right? Okay. My next lens that I'm going to add, I already talked about, and Josh said this is our sleeper lens. This is the 90 macro Elmar. So 90 millimeter f4, and what's great about this one, let's get a little overhead comparison view here. I'm going to take the back cap off, so apples to apples. It is actually, it's a 90 millimeter that is actually smaller than the super tiny 35.
Well, with the hood
I guess
off,
with the hood.
it's about the same. Yeah.
Same size and same filter size.
Yeah.
But this lens does expand, so we now get that 90. And when Josh said this is a sleeper lens, I totally agree. I think we
did the Leica Underdogs episode a while ago, and this was one of them, I'm quite sure.
yeah, super easy to focus. It is a little bit of funky design in terms of how it operates.
But you get used to it.
you get used to
It's not
it.
like it's hard to use. You just have to
No.
remember to extend it, that's all.
And it is, I actually think, sharper than the 90 Apo-Summicron.
Oh, definitely. This is the second sharpest 90 Leica has ever made. Second only to the 90 Summilux, which is, of course, a monster.
Oh.
There's my hands.
Hey, there you go.
There's me.
You can come back to both of us.
Yeah, so the 90 macro is a little bit misleading because it's not actually a macro lens on its own. It does need to be paired with the macro adapter M to become a macro lens. So it's called the 90 macro LMR, but in and of itself, it actually doesn't focus that close.
Well, I'm going to show that
0.8 meters.
also.
We're going to get, but I'm just saying
There you
that
go.
we're getting there. But the reason we like it so much is because it's incredibly sharp, it's incredibly light, and incredibly small.
Yes.
It's almost like you can have it with any other size kit you want, and it just doesn't get in the way. 'Cause
Exactly.
It's so small.
Right. This is not going to weigh you down.
Yeah.
This is pocket size lens.
Yes.
All right, now come back to the overhead, Jose, and I want to show the other little trick that this has. Now, this is the macro adapter M, and it can be used on just about, well, not these lenses because it has to be longer than 35 millimeter focal length. But you could use this with any standard M lens, 50, 75, 90, no problem. The magic trick that it has with the 90 macro LMAR is when we put this lens on, as I showed you, this lens extends. So now it is a macro lens. And we can focus here using the focus on the lens. And also you can extend the macro adapter to get closer focus and higher magnification. So now we're at maximum magnification and closest focus in this combination. But if you collapse the macro adapter M and you collapse the lens
And focus to infinity.
and now we focus, this is now a normal functioning 90 millimeter, right? When we pull it out, it's macro mode. When we push it back, the front,
Right. And
it is now a normal lens.
the reason this is important is because the 90 macro only functions on the camera normally when it's extended. It's collapsed only for travel purposes, right? It can't focus when it's collapsed. However, because the depth of the macro adapter is the same depth as the extension of the lens, it effectively counteracts the fact that the lens is collapsed and allows you to focus at infinity. So it's not rangefinder coupled. You will need to use the VisaFlex or the LCD for live view, but this combination allows you to have access to infinity all the way to the absolute minimum macro by simply extending the adapter, focusing to minimum, extending the lens, or collapsing the lens, collapsing the adapter, and focusing to infinity. So you've got the full range there, which is really, really cleverly designed.
It is. This is super neat. So when I look at that kind of scenario, a 21 that's insanely super sharp, corner to corner, amazing, low distortion, a 35 that is one of my absolute favorites, and a 90, that is a pretty, and you can get the overhead, that is a pretty small kit right here, right? That is a small kit. And throwing in the macro adapter as a little bonus, amazing. So this is pretty small. This is a pretty small compact kit. So, of course, you can come back to us. What if you want to go all in? Because I did see some questions saying, well, what do you use?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like we were talking about earlier before the show, I don't always associate travel with minimalism because I'm the kind of guy who checks 2 bags and has a giant camera bag. So
Sure.
I don't necessarily think paring down is always for me. I mean,
pair
I'm not
up?
kind of. I mean, I'm not going to Bhutan most of the time or ever, but so where I'm going tends to be a little bit more like flexible in terms of weight and things like that. But what I have been doing is bringing kind of what I would call like a split setup because I've really been enjoying changing my photography by using exotic or vintage lenses. And I've discovered that it allows me to express myself creatively in a way I couldn't before. And they're so much more usable now with modern live view, stabilized sensors on the SLs, and the VisiFlex 2 on the Ms that they function in a way with much less compromise while still giving me the unique look that I'm going for. So on that vein, there is one current production lens that I think is the single most underrated travel lens for a number of reasons, and you're not gonna guess it. I guarantee you. That would be this, the 50 Noctilux 0.95.
Wow.
And you're laughing.
I am laughing.
Because you haven't used this lens in a while, because you don't know how good it is. I bet you haven't even tried this on an M11P.
You'd be right.
That's right. You see? Well, I had it like 2 weeks ago. The 0.95 has been around a while, relatively speaking. So it's a little bit of a veteran lens in the lineup. And I think
2006. Yep.
I think it gets overlooked by people.
20 years?
It's been almost 20
Wow,
years.
that's crazy.
You can almost drink in America.
It's almost
You
legal.
can drink in Europe.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's easy to overlook the Noctilux in the modern portfolio.
Okay.
But it has a unique rendering combined with a very usable stop-down performance that no other lens in the current portfolio has. And I think for me, when I'm traveling, especially if I'm going somewhere that a lot of people have gone, like if I'm going to New York City or if I'm going to Frankfurt or the Leica factory, like we were just at, a place that is heavily photographed, even maybe by me already, having been to these places several times, I'm asking myself, what am I going to bring with me gear-wise that's not only going to be practical for the environment, but also going to allow me to make images that I'm happy with, that I'm excited about, that I can come away with and go, wow, like that's a great, I documented that in a way maybe I hadn't before. And a lens like the Noctilux lets me do that. And the reality is, compared to SL lenses, this is not that big. It balances perfectly fine on an M11 with a hand grip attached, or not, depending on how big your hands are. And it's just a very pleasurable, easy lens to use. The older Noctiluxes, especially the original 1.2 and the F1, and then the 1.2 Classic Series reissue, they're relatively soft in the center, which can make it a little bit of a chore to get precise focus, which is fine if you're working slowly. But the Noctilux 0.95 is sharp enough in the center that you can actually work pretty fast with live view, or even with just the rangefinder patch, because it doesn't take you a lot of time to like you kind of fiddle with it and get that center sharpness. And it looks amazing. I mean, I think a lot of people have had these lenses and either sold them or traded them because they thought it was too heavy, or they didn't want to show it open, or they didn't want to deal with the focusing. And they missed out on such an amazing user experience. It just takes a little bit of practice, a little bit of sort of awareness as to where the limitations are and when it's not, like, don't use it at infinity, wide open, because you're just, you're not getting your money's worth. And also I combine it with a polarizer most of the time, even not just for car stuff, for almost everything, because I'm using it with live view anyway. I just think it's hugely underrated now. And it seems crazy to say that because everyone's like Noctilux, Noctilux, Noctilux. And that's what that name carries so much provenance in the Leica world. But I feel like because the lens is almost 20 years old at this point, people just tend to disregard it.
Yeah.
And that really disappoints me because the nuts and bolts of it are, it's actually an excellent lens. Sure, it has chromatic aberration. I don't know if you use Lightroom these days. It's one click and it's gone.
True, yeah.
It's so easy. Or use it on a monochrome. It's not about light gathering at this point, although it certainly is amazing at that. It's about giving you a look that you can't get any other way with a modern lens, meaning a lens that's going to be 6-bit coated with a retractable lens shade, a modern construction. It's not some fragile, vintage, delicate thing. And I just think it's more usable than ever. And I don't know why anybody ever gets rid of one. Sure, like finance is fine, but like if you can afford it, they're great deals on the pre-owned market relative to what they cost new.
Sure.
Like really, really good deals sometimes. You know, they come in black, silver, or you get one of those crazy special editions. If a certain person's watching this, who I know is, who has all the special editions. And I think it allows you to go to a destination maybe you've been to a million times, maybe a lot of people have been to, where you're looking to differentiate yourself creatively. It allows you to do that in a way that a regular 50 Summilux or 50 Apo does not. So what I would do is, in your scenario, instead of bringing those 3 lenses, I maybe only bring one really small lens like a 35 Apo or a 28 Summicron or even an Elmerit, and then bring a Noctilux if I'm trying to be minimal. But of course, a lot of times when I'm traveling, I'm bringing like 6 lenses, so I don't care about being minimal at all.
Yeah, I mean, same. But, and the thing is, you can travel someplace with a maximal kit and then pare down on a daily basis.
Well, that's a great point, and one that I try to harp on a lot is, I think a lot of people they put their gear in a bag and then that's it. That's the bag. And the reality is the bag you're going to use to transport your kit to the destination is probably not the bag you should be walking around with. So most of the time when I travel, and I think you do this as well, is my larger bag that has all my kit in it is one thing. And then I actually have a more walk around friendly camera bag in my check bag or my carry-on bag. And I usually put chargers and other random stuff in there.
Which we'll get to if we have
which
time.
we'll get to. We'll have time.
We're gonna.
And so that allows me to bring the big kit,
Yep.
but not have to bring the big kit with me all the time. Like if I'm going out to 5 different places or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, I've even done where I have a roller or like a roll-on luggage that I just empty out and I put 2 separate camera bags inside of it.
Well, that's smart. I like that. Yeah.
And I've used to do that when I used to carry 2 different kits. So for instance, I'd have, in this case, say an SL kit and an M kit, and I put one in each bag, like 2 different shoulder bags. And that way it's one bag that's carry-on, except I have 2 bags inside of it that are ready to go. One is a little bit bigger, one's a little bit smaller, and I can kind of go from there.
We should have a couple of bag chats now, because we're talking about bags. We brought like a million bags.
We did.
The thing is, I know exactly what's going to happen, which is why
I wanna get through the
it'll
cameras.
be 10:45 or 9:45, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's just pick one bag each real quick. Why not?
Because let's get through the set camera system,
we're never gonna get
and then
through
we're going to
all.
get to bags. I promise. I
All
promise.
right,
I promise.
all right.
Okay.
You heard it here first. I don't think we're going to get the bag.
So what I want to do
See.
is I just want to talk about a few of the lenses very briefly of things that I think are really either overlooked or just, gems in the lineup.
Just don't talk about that one.
I'm going to talk about that one. I'm going to talk about it. You can't stop me.
The forbidden fruit that you
Okay.
can't get anymore.
Forbidden fruit first. We're going to go in focal length. Actually, no, we're going to go in focal length terms. Non-forbidden fruit. Ready?
Okay.
Here we go. And we're going to do speed round. Okay, this.
I'm timing you.
Yep, here we go. Jose, this is the wide angle tri-LMR. Just like the original medium angle tri-LMR, this lens aims to be a great all-in-one travel lens. It covers your entire ultra wide. It's also the widest native focal length that's available on the M system, 16 millimeter. 16, 18, and 21. It is the only actual true zoom for the M system because, little secret here, if you're using a VisiFlex, optically you can actually put it between here if you need 17 or 20 millimeters. It does work perfectly. It just has detents at all these. If you're nice to like a service, they might even take the detents out for you. But basically the way I use this lens is pretty easy. If I set it to 16 millimeter at f8 and I just line it up, if you could see that, but the focus point, I just line it up to 1 meter. It makes a nice little convenient line. And this gives me hyperfocal distance all the way from, where is it? 8, from about 0.55 meters or 21 inches to infinity. This is now just point and shoot. I love that. This lens is great if you're going to be doing interiors or landscape shots and you don't necessarily know what focal length you need. This is an all-in-one that you can really throw in with any other kit, just like that 90. I think this covers the other end of that spectrum. If the 90 macro LMR is the ultimate telephoto travel lens, this is the ultimate wide-angle travel lens because you have 3 in 1. All right, moving on. And you can keep the close-up because I'm going to be doing this. Oh,
Okay.
Oh, no. Here we
You
go.
have to look at us for a second.
All right. This
Oh, no.
is my baby.
Killing me.
Okay, this is the 18 millimeter Super LMR. It is not easy to filter because you actually cannot filter it unless you have some really crazy, obscure filter adapter they don't make anymore. It has the giant flared lens shade. Definitely not the smallest lens in the bag. Not super heavy, but I do love it. And I use that same kind of trick, put it at 1 meter, f8, and you're good to go. I just have maybe an unreasonable love for this lens, but it's never leaving my bag. So I absolutely love this lens, and we can have a bigger discussion here for a second. I will say this. In cases where I've carried an 18 millimeter or the wide angle tri-LMR, I would say I use it for 5% of my shots, realistically. Except, and I've said this before on other shows, the shots that I shoot ultra wide, and this doesn't just apply to the to the ultra wide M lenses, but also to the SL that we'll talk about. I use it the absolute least of any focal length, and yet I have the highest keeper rate from those pictures. So it's having it in the bag when I need it. It's like when a golfer has like a rescue wedge or something. It's like they never use it except for that one time, every 3 rounds of
A golf analogy, really?
A golf analogy, yeah.
All right.
And they're like, I'm so glad I had that wedge that I've been carrying around for exercise for the last, week. For me, it's like that specialized club that when you need it, and you absolutely love that you had it. So for me, that qualifies for the wide-angle Tri-LMR or the 18 Super LMR. We already talked about the 21. Moving up, I think the honorable mention here is for the... Yep, the 28 Elmerit Aspheric. This lens looks a lot bigger with the lens shade on. It is super, super tiny. One of the smallest modern M lenses. It's sharp. It's easy to use. It's probably one of the easiest lenses to focus, and just a great all-around travel lens if 28 is your bag. So this is really nice. It's a lot smaller than the 28 Summilux, and just convenient to have in terms of travel. I already talked about my favorite 35s, and just honorable mention here to 2 different 50 millimeters, which so hard, just like the Apo Summicron 35 and the 35 Summilux FLE version 2, these lenses are near and dear to my heart, and just really hard to make that choice. So every time I go out, kind of struggle with this. But the 50 Apo Summicron is an awesome lens. I think it ushered in the sort of, ultra modern level of performance back in 2012 when it was introduced, along with the original M monochrome. This is a Peter Carba special. And another Peter Carba special going back a few years prior to that, we've got the 50 Summilux in its latest iteration. And just like the 35 FLE and the 35 Apo Summicron, it has a close focus mode that makes it infinitely usable. For me, if I know I'm going to be shooting a lot of people, I might take this lens over the Apo Summicron, because especially with that close focus ability, you can almost, I'm going to say almost because Josh is watching me over there, you can almost get a Noctiluxy type look to it.
No, you can't.
No, you can't. But you can kind of get close.
No, you can't.
It is absolutely beautiful for portraiture.
Says the guy who hasn't used the Noctilux in how long?
Says the guy who hasn't used the
That's what I
Noctilux.
thought.
It's absolutely gorgeous for portraiture and general purpose. So you sop it down.
I mean, it's way more usable than a Noctilux
Yeah.
because the Noctilux is only sharp in the dead center and it radiates softness outwards. With this lens, it's much sharper for much longer before the softness comes in. So this is more day-to-day usable.
Yeah.
Plus the close focus, plus the fact that it's a heck of a lot smaller. But
Yeah.
it's a different animal altogether.
All right. And one more lens that I want to cover besides the 90, which is the last one as a telephoto contender, which I have traveled with extensively, is the 75 Apo Summicron. This one, if you know, you know. Actually, they share the same optical design with the 50 Summilux Aspheric and the 75 Apo Summicron. These are both Peter Carba designs, and he based this one off of this one about a year later. It's just a 75 f2 instead of 51.4. This, to me, is one of the finest kind of portrait lenses ever made. Some of my favorite portraits I've taken with the M, I've taken with the 75. I think it's luscious. Early on, it got this weird reputation for being clinical or whatever. No, this lens is tack sharp where you want it, and then it's just buttery smooth in background, great compression, and one of my favorite all-around portrait lenses. And really not that much larger. Let's say you pair it with a 35 Apo Summicron. Really not a bad combo here.
Also, if you're a filter size fanatic, it's an E49, which is the same size as the Qs.
It is.
So you go out with a Q3 with a 28, and then an M11 with a 75, gives you a nice range, and they're both the same filter size if you're switching back and forth.
Yeah. So when you're thinking about that kit, and yeah, don't just limit yourself to say, I'm just one camera, one lens, or 2 lenses, or whatever. Think about, maybe you want to limit yourself for a particular outing that way, but I also do think it is it is nice to have variance in focal length because you're going to give a lot more variety and creativity to your pictures. You know, this old adage of like, all you need is a 50 millimeter lens and like, you know, shoot at everything at FA. It's like, okay, great.
You can,
but all your pictures are going to look
yeah.
this way. If you just want that, they make a lovely Q343 and you can shoot everything with one lens.
That's right.
And that's great. But I think if you're going with the M, I think take advantage of its biggest flexibility advantage, which is its extensive lens lineup. The beauty of the M system, beside the gorgeous body and the mechanics and all that and the rangefinder, is the lens catalog. Both new for me, vintage maybe for Josh, kind of a blend, and anywhere in between that the mood strikes you. So,
Well, speaking of gorgeous camera bodies, there's one
oh yeah,
on the table that for the entire history of this show has been extremely difficult to get. And after all of this time, finally production has caught up with demand, which means we get to have them in stock. So I'm like confused because I'm so used to them being impossible to get.
for years.
Everybody knows that black paint is the best, but is it? I don't know. But black paint is certainly the most legendary Leica finish. And there is still one camera currently made, well, more than one, I guess, but one film camera currently made in black paint. You all know it. The original, not the original, I'm all over the place. The Leica MP in black paint. It's been in the catalog for 22 years, since 2003. Almost as old as some of these lenses are. Can I get an overhead? There we go. The MP in black paint has been one of the most desired and most lusted after cameras for ages. I mean, certainly for as long as I've done this job. And they've come in and out of stock over the years. They don't make a lot of these things. And I noticed the other day we got one and I was finally able to mark it in stock. But that aside, if you're really looking to enhance your creativity and dive into the world of film, you're not going to have more fun doing it than with a camera like the MP. Because it is, of course, the ultimate Leica film camera, solid brass instruction, absolutely beautiful. All 6 frame lines, light meter. I mean, it's as good as it gets. And it's just gorgeous. If anything, this is a great conversation starter when you're walking around a busy city, whether you're in Europe or you're in the States or anywhere else, because very few people are shooting with these in the wild. As you use it, it gets brassed up and it looks amazing. So I think that all those people who complain to me all these years, like, why can't I get a black paint MP? They're so hard to come by. Now's your chance. Because if you want to shoot film, you want to stick with your familiar M body, and you want black paint, this is the way to do it. I think if you have one of those new glossy M11s, which are also gorgeous, or black paint M10R, this is the perfect companion to that because it's sort of like the spiritual older brother to this camera. So just wanted to show off this beauty. This is one of the first times we've shown off a black paint MP, just standard black paint MP on the show.
Yeah.
Because they've been so hard to get.
Yeah.
We were talking about that earlier. I was like, wait a minute, when was the last time we actually had one
And I agree.
on an episode?
As the person who put that lens on before the show, I think it looks pretty hot with that steel rim on there.
Yeah, the silver lenses look really nice on the black paint bodies that have the silver accents. This is a good choice. If you could find a black paint lens spit on it, even better. But, you know, good luck with that.
Those are a little harder.
Although you could get one of the new glossy Noctiluxes and put that on
There
a
you go.
glossy and on a black paint MP.
Sure, why not?
Breaking stuff. Now that it's after 9, I get to do 2 things that I want to do, which is
One more thing before we're allowed
What?
to move on.
no, I want to use that.
I know. One more thing before we move on, which
Okay.
is now you are going to take this conversation
Okay.
of we have some choices when it comes to M bodies.
Oh, I know we're still having. I'm just going to break that up for a sec.
You want to break it up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
okay.
yeah, that's
Okay,
that.
I don't
No,
want you to
know.
forget. I don't want you to forget.
No, we won't. No, I just now that it's around the 9 o'clock hour, I just want to show some fun goodies. Give David a 5-minute break, and then we'll get back into how to pick your M
We're
body.
going to like stretch.
Exactly. I have 2 cool things to show you. Now, most shows I have some super rare, super expensive piece of used equipment that is like $1 gazillion and it sells in like 2 seconds. Yeah, that's all cool. But I decided today to bring something just totally random that's not expensive that I just thought was cool, which is check this bad boy out. You know it's cool because it comes in this vintage box. This is a new old stock. What is it called? Combination case for Leica R4/R4S. But what this really is a really, really cool.
This is $75.
It's $75. It's not expensive. I got it recently. I actually had to take off the plastic ceiling.
Yeah.
Like the plastic wrap that was
Oh my
on the box,
gosh.
which I saved because it looks so cool.
So like completely new.
It's
old
brand
stock.
new. I'm the
Yeah.
first human being to touch it since it was made. Gosh knows when.
No gloves. No gloves.
No gloves.
No gloves. Here we go.
Look at this. Look at that. It still has the original hang tag.
That is cool.
Sweet.
Talk about bags, right?
And it has a. Can we get an overhead on this?
Yeah.
That looks fine. Look at that. Okay, first of all, the lights dot, awesome. The old school Leica logo there, made in Germany.
Wait, you don't want this?
I mean, I have one already, actually. To be honest with you. It's not
Talk about a conversation.
it's not the most practical bag on the planet.
but it's so cool.
Most of these inserts are not. You could have to like tear them out. You can't really see it.
Wait, are they hard plastic?
It's like it's like a hard plastic size. So actually,
It
this
is.
would be a great bag for like a vintage kit that you want to be like extra safe. I could not believe that somebody bought this thing, gosh knows how many years ago, and kept it brand new in the sealed box for that whole
That's awesome.
darn time. I mean, I just want this little hang tag on it.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
I mean, it's brand new. I mean, smells so.
Does it have that new old bag smell?
It smells like a 1990s Toyota Avalon, as would smell with the plush Corinthian leather. It's got a front pocket for extra versatility. Look at this. It's even got a little spot for like your little name,
Right.
Like a little name tag.
Right. And back when phone numbers were only 7 digits.
That's right. You had to slide this little paper out. Look at that. And like the name.
Amazing. Amazing.
So anyway, if you ever wanted to feel like if you ever think
I'm getting the odor over
I
here.
only show really overpriced, crazy, ridiculous nonsense. It's not true. Now, continuing on the democratization of things.
Yes.
It's sold.
So we bought it already? I'll sign it for you if you want.
Go ahead.
If you're familiar with Red Dot Wear, that is our in-house accessory swag brand. I say Al, but really Kirsten does all the work.
Yeah.
And so we have the latest addition to our Red Dot Wear portfolio. It is not something limited. It is something you can all get, unlike the last time I showed a keychain and they tried to burn my house down.
Yep.
It is in this little thingy, which I neglected to take out of the thingy before the show.
Sure.
So bear with me while I struggle valiantly to get it out of here. Kudos to Rice for putting this all together. Here we go.
Hey, you did it.
Here we go. And ta-da! You can all see that, right? Makes me think.
Perfect. Overhead view.
This is our latest keychain, if we can get overhead. The Leica Q3 keychain. This is made by the same company who made our M3 keychains. So
Very
it is
detailed. Look at that battery
It's
on
got
it.
super great detail. It is like solid pewter. It's like, it's got a really nice heft to it. You can see how big it is. Or like what's something that they would, here's like in a rear cap. About fits in an M rear cap size wise. I'm only doing that because we haven't put a description on our website yet. So you're the first to know about it.
Cool.
Jose can drop a link in the chat. It is not a functioning camera.
Well, how many megapixels?
It's no megapixels. This is not numbered or limited edition. This is a standard production keychain. This is the newest addition to the lineup. And yeah, looks super cool. I think Yours did a really nice job getting this put together. You can
Very
see
nice.
getting
Yeah,
these
yeah.
dies. This will go really nice on your keys.
How much is it, Josh?
It is $30.
$30
So again, you cannot accuse me of only showing extremely expensive, leather covered crazy special editions. This is But again, not a functioning. Well, I guess if you use your imagination, it functions. But anyway, if you want to support the channel, support the store, but don't want to buy a camera right now, this is a great way to do it. It's super cool, super unique, and it's actually extremely high quality.
Sure.
Have you held one yet?
I have.
I see. Okay, you've seen it.
Yeah.
You don't get to,
I already played with this.
This one's mine. You can't have
I tried to take pictures with it also. It didn't work.
it. Doesn't work.
Didn't work.
So anyway, I'm sure Jose already dropped the link.
Needs a firmware update.
It does not need a firmware update. Yeah. So that was our brief break from our regularly scheduled rambling.
We're gonna
now,
dive back in.
David, let's talk about M camera bodies.
Briefly, because we need to move on after this.
Okay. No, we can just spend the rest of the night talking about this.
Perfect. Well, I mean, we actually could.
Yes, I know that.
We're gonna not.
Dangerous.
Yeah. Okay. So we have the decision here between color, digital color, say M11, M11P, M11 monochrome, which is okay, and film. And film, I just want to start with film.
Mm-hmm.
So film is coming back in a big way. It is experiencing, or analog photography, film photography is experiencing this crazy renaissance. And Leica, as one of the only companies making new production 35mm film cameras, it's kind of uniquely positioned to help people out. And of course, we have 71 years of Leica M film cameras. That doesn't even include screw mount, but Leica M film cameras that are compatible with all these lenses I showed here. 100% compatible. Backwards and forwards compatible, which is not 100%. There's like 2 exceptions, but
most,
yeah,
overwhelmingly
overwhelmingly
fully compatible. Yes.
So very few companies can say that they have a 71 year back catalog of cameras and lenses that are fully cross-compatible in both ways. So if you have an existing digital kit and you wanted to explore the again, it's for creativity. If you want to explore the creativity of analog photography, it's a great time to do that. Between either a Blackpaint M6 or MP or the new M6 reissue or an MA if you're going 100% like all analog.
Get an MP.
But Josh says get an MP.
I mean, the Blackpaint MP is like the most gorgeous thing ever. Like, it's
really is.
so nice.
I agree.
I never get to see them, so it's nice to have one on the table. Oh, yeah. Don't touch it.
Don't touch it. And film now, I don't know if you check out, but we have a huge variety of film at Leica Store Miami of like all different kinds. And there's companies that I haven't even heard of making film now.
Like Leica.
And Leica. I've heard of Leica. Leica actually has a monopan film coming out that is panchromatic, which is kind of cool. So it covers more than the visible light spectrum. It's an extended wavelength sensitive film, which is pretty cool. Is that a good description?
That's fair enough.
Yeah, okay.
We'll talk more about it when we actually get it.
Yeah,
because we
don't have it yet. It's coming like September, October timeframe.
Yeah.
But otherwise, there is a lot of players out there who are making new film emulsions that kind of are pushing creativity bounds, and a lot of familiar ones. Kodak is making Ektar 100 and E100 Ektachrome again. They discontinued those films, and they're back. Portra is available in every roll size and speed. So it's a great time to be an analog photographer if that is your speed.
Yeah.
So that's something.
Buy an MP.
Yeah, that.
Jose, just put a link to the MP in the chat for me, please. Yeah.
That's something that you can add into an existing. Okay.
It'll make me happy.
Okay, but now the conversation comes down to color, black and white. And we have numerous monochrome episodes where we have talked about these very specifically, so I'm not going to dive into so much detail. I would just say this. If you find that you are converting most of your color pictures to black and white, just do yourself a favor and get a monochrome. If you are, mainly a color photographer, just stick with the regular one. How's that? If you want to cross kind of both of those off the list, M-Buddy's not that big. So you could shoot with either. Or another alternative that we talk about is when we say like a new look, we had an episode called New Look at Old Favorites. I think the M10 monochrome is a great addition to an M11 color because you're getting the advantage of that monochrome sensor in, a less expensive previous version body. Or you could go the other way around if you're prioritizing black and white.
Yeah, I think
you can get an M11 monochrome and an M10 color.
I would do that personally.
Yeah.
Just because I think the M11 monochrome is so unbelievably high performance. The gap is huge between all of its predecessors because I love the M11. I love the M11 platform. What are you showing?
No, go ahead.
I love the M11 platform. I love the monochrome concept, and together, just from a low light performance, but also detail, because the M11 sensor, when that first came out, was delivering near medium format results at base ISO. Yep. Take away the filtration and add that extra 30 or so % detail, and you're basically at medium format levels of detail from a 35mm camera.
I'm going to show this real quick.
Okay.
So this is from my M11 monochrome review on Red.Forum when I took the camera to New York City. And this was my first or second night out with the M11 monochrome. And you can see here, this is shot at ISO 6400 and at 100th of a second f8, which is, again, one of the great parts. Sure, could I have shot this at 1.4? I could. I wouldn't get those cool starbursts, and that's one of the things you get at f8. And 100th of a second freezes all the action. But I also pushed it 3 stops in Lightroom because what I wanted to do is make sure that I didn't blow out all this window detail or these lights. I wanted tons of highlight information. So I underexposed it in camera and pushed it 3 stops. This one of the Empire State Building was shot at 10,000 ISO and pushed 4 stops in Lightroom in order to retain all of the highlight detail. And it is, I think, for me, the M11 monochrome, the amount that you can push these files around is absolutely stunning. And by the way, there is that 90 macro Elmar we talked about.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Which,
I love it.
you would not know that that's an f4 lens based on this close focus, right? It still has that really nice out of focus area and super sharp, just a lovely lens. And if I go, I'm going to show you some kind of cool stuff.
There are a lot of images in this.
There's a lot of images. If you want to check it out, and they're all indicated with what lens, and a lot of the lenses I already spoke about here, you can do that. But I want to show very specifically this boxing gym that I went to in Brooklyn. And I talked about this on the M11 episode, but what I find so fascinating about this is I went in there and I set it to aperture, actually full manual. So I shot it, let's say this shot at 5.6. I set the aperture to 5.6. I set the shutter speed to 1,000 because I wanted to freeze the action and I wanted to get enough depth of field because these guys are kind of moving around. So I wanted a little bit of insurance when it came to focus, but I also needed to freeze the action, and I just did full manual shooting with auto ISO enabled. So this shows an aperture ISO of 16,000, and it looks perfect. This is 32,000. Again, looks great, right? So this ability to go in and shoot action, stop down with high shutter speed, fast shutter speed is insane. Here's, actually, I split them up when I was talking about that separately. Okay, here we go. This is 40,000 ISO. And I love the textural nuance. It doesn't lose that. It doesn't get overly contrasty. I mean, if you want to see the full thing, you can, I'll just point it here. So this is on red.forum.com, and it's the Leica M11 monochrome review, pure black and white performance. You can read about it, and you can even compare it to previous ones that I've reviewed as well. All right, so just wanted to touch on that. If you are into black and white photography, there is no better black and white camera.
Yeah.
Full stop. If you want to shoot color, the M11 monochrome, or the M11 non-monochrome, either the M11 or the P or the D are where you want to be.
Yeah, the M11P is insanely capable, really good at conversion to black and white, obviously extremely high performance color camera, still the flagship M, and but I need to ask you a question about the M's to get you to talk about your favorite thing ever. We have to do it now, because if we don't do it now, we're not going to get to it, and you're going to close out the show with it. So are you ready? Okay, you ready to see David get super excited?
Oh, God. Okay.
Yeah. So,
Wait, are we talking about this now?
yes, because if I don't bring this up now,
Okay.
then we're never going to talk about this, and we're
Okay.
never going to talk about bags,
Okay.
and we're never going to talk about SL.
Well, this is one of my favorite things also.
Yes, we're okay. One of the questions we've been getting is, how do I charge my camera? Current production Leica cameras do not include a battery charger. So the question is, if you have a Q or an M or a Deluxe or any of the cameras we haven't talked about yet, how do you charge it? We get these questions all the time. Now, the overarching answer is USB-C. Mm-hmm. But David is going to give us the more nuanced answer about his the results of hundreds of hours of research. He's not coming into the store ever. He doesn't even know the store exists anymore. He's literally just in a dark room with every charger and USB cable you've ever seen, like hundreds of them, like picking through them like some kind of weird wizard. But in all seriousness, David has actually done all the testing to help us understand the best charging workflow for the modern USB-C Leica cameras.
Yes.
And I will now allow him. I'm going to give you 10 minutes.
Yeah, I don't need 10 minutes.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
I need 10 minutes. All right, go ahead.
And go.
And go. Okay, here we go. Drum roll, please.
Pay attention to this, people.
The best charger that I have found is sitting in my hand.
Ta-da.
It's so small, it's like a magic trick. I can't actually do that, but we'll pretend. Woo, the magic. Okay. Jose, give me a little close-up here. This is, upside down. This is the Anker Nano 30-watt charger. And it has lovely flip-out prongs. It is a single USB-C port. And the one that I got and actually linked to, I should have mentioned that we have links to all of the stuff that we're talking about in the
Yeah, you don't have to ask for Amazon links. They're already in
just go down in the link and you'll see the Nano 30-watt. And it actually came with this lovely braided charging cable, which I really like. And camera, please. Okay. So if you want to charge the camera, you can just do so like so. right? That is the easiest way to charge an M11. You can just plug this into the wall. If you can find it, because these are, I will admit, these have been harder to find. And in early M11s, these did come included, but they do not now. It is also USB-C. And hopefully we get resupplied on these.
Yeah, it's just a short term.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still making them. Don't stress out. It's gonna be okay.
I'm so stressed. I'm so stressed out. All right. But this would allow you here to put your battery in like so and charge it up.
Yeah. Just to interrupt to summarize, a key point is the reason that this particular charger is so useful is that normally the issue is the power delivery.
Yeah, I actually have an example here. Okay, here. I have an example of what you should not use.
Okay.
Here we go.
Talk to us.
So this is, let me just show, yeah, okay. This, I'm sure, raise your hand if you have 1 million of these in your house, like I did in mine, because I didn't have to look very far to find this. This is kind of a classic Apple charger that comes or came with just about every device. This one's USB-A. I think it came with an iPad, I want to say, maybe, or an iPhone. So this guy here, which you can see is noticeably larger and heavier than the Anker charger. This is a 12-watt charger. This is not going to charge your camera very well, or certainly not very quickly. This is a 30-watt adapter that is so much smaller and lighter. This in, I don't know, in grams, someone can do the math for me, but I think it's 32 grams. It's 1.3 ounces. It's super, super light. This is one that I will carry in my camera bag with maybe not as long a cord, or maybe I will, travel with the cord, because then if I'm somewhere where I need to charge the camera up, I can. So that is one scenario. Again, do not use this.
Yeah, what's funny that I'll mention, and we talked about this already, is this is a relatively new product.
Yes.
David and I discovered this independent of each other.
We did.
So we both found this, and we both bought it for ourselves. And we were talking today about it. And he's like, "Oh my gosh, I got to tell you about this new thing." I'm like, "Oh yeah, the thing that I ordered like 2 months ago. You mean on my Amazon cart?" I use it to charge all my devices, but especially just my iPhone.
Yeah. So much faster.
For my little carry-on shoulder bag.
Yeah.
Because I take that and a USB-C cable, and I know that it's got more than enough voltage to charge anything. Voltage or wattage? Wattage. More than enough wattage to charge anything that I have on the go, but it's extremely, extremely small.
Yeah, and I'll show an even, again, if we're talking about travel solutions, I would use this. This is a little Anker case.
I think they give you those when you buy a cable sometimes, right?
Sometimes, yeah. So this is a little Anker case here, and this is exactly how I would travel with this, knocking things over.
It's okay.
No. So we're gonna do a little cable management here. So just around your hand, Here we go. Okay, get that on slow-mo replay.
Since compelling TV right now.
Okay, so let's get the overhead here. And what's great is you just coil this cable up, put the little charger in the middle, and boom. This goes in the front outside pocket of my little underseat roller bag everywhere I go. Because now I can always charge my phone, which is my primary goal, but I can also just take this and pop it in my camera bag. It weighs next to nothing. The cable and the charger are all secure. You're not going to lose it. So this is my recommended little power setup. Now, beyond that, I do want to show this.
Ooh, shiny.
This is another discovery. I know. Thank you.
Look, it's like, no, it's like.
Oh. It's glossy black.
This is glossy black paint.
It's glossy black paint. I guarantee this is not going to brass. This is just going to look awful. Okay, so I have in the past recommended my charges and other things. And I've been on a hunt now because that wasn't perfect. This is amazing. More amazing. I'm a little split. I've been using this one personally. But I am a little split on this. But it basically is a little tether, if you will, but also it is the USB-C cable for charging that's built in so you don't lose it and you don't have to carry another one. It has prongs for charging, and it's got a little trick, which I'll tell you about. But what is really great is not only, and I am going to demonstrate, can I have 2 batteries?
You sure
please?
can.
So not only can you power up your phone with this, which would be my general purpose, but also very few, dare I say, no power banks that are this small. I mean, it's barely bigger than a battery. I don't know if you can see that. Now you can.
Yeah, they can, yeah.
It is charging 2 batteries at the same time, which means this is also outputting 30 watts of glorious power over USB-C, just like our little power adapter.
I'm mostly disappointed that the demo batteries weren't charged.
Well, yeah, no, that happens too. All right.
Part of it. It's part of it.
So the fact that I can on the go charge this, also it's a really cool thing because that display only shows up. It can't even. Ooh, it's like in there. Yeah.
Fancy.
Very, very cool. And it has a nice little trick as well, which I like. They call this a 3-in-1 nano charger also.
Is it the Fusion one?
Fusion, 3-in-1 Fusion.
Yeah, we have a link.
What's cool about this is, let's say you are in your hotel, you can plug this into the wall, and then it doesn't act like a battery. It acts like a 30-watt power brick. And you can just charge this overnight, and then the battery will stay charged too. So you just take the batteries, and you take this, and you pop it in your camera bag, and you're good to go. Because this will charge your battery in any of the Leica cameras, or the dual charger, or if you're using an M, you can charge the M battery on this too. This is, as far as I know, one of the only power banks that's this small and light. I think it's 7 ounces that can do that, because most of the power banks are usually only 10 or 15 watts. So that is
That
the
was
power situation.
8 minutes.
I finished early. I do have a link to this as well. It's like $50. That little power adapter is like 20 with the cable, which is amazing. Yeah. So go out and get them. You can see the links
in the description of the YouTube video. So they're not in the chat.
Yeah.
They're in the description. Just click read more, and then David worked hard to put all those links in there. And
I am going to show one other.
Oh no!
But there's one more thing. Okay. I also, in the search for, again, travel is often more than just traveling with your camera. You're usually carrying a computer, an iPad, or a laptop. In my case, I carry a 16-inch MacBook Pro. And I'm just going to show this also as something you shouldn't be using. This is an Apple current generation 140-watt charging brick. Let's just do this. Here we go. There you go. All right. Oh, it's so white. It's like lily white.
Very reflective.
It only has one USB-C output. It is 140 watts. It is quite literally a brick. This thing is ginormous. Now, this is what I recommend to replace this. I mean, come on. This is a 100-watt Anker charger, again, with the flip-out prongs, and it has 2 USB-C outputs and a USB-A output. This thing is a fraction of the size of the Apple one, and I can't see any reason why anyone would even use this. This, by the way, I've never used it. I actually took this out of the box today because it's useless to me, because I've always used a smaller third-party power adapter. So definitely want to get this. I linked this one too. This is the 100-watt Prime, and because you don't have to put this in your bag and you're carrying this instead, it means you can put another one of these in there.
Get a smaller charger so you can carry more. Actually, I do like that.
It's true. I mean,
but
look,
now you've actually talked for 10 minutes about chargers, so.
I did, but I hit my time limit.
So now your question is, are we going to talk about SL or are we going to talk about camera bags? Because we have 25 minutes left.
Oh my gosh, time went fast. We're going to talk about SL quickly, and then we need to move on.
Quickly? 10 years of product development quickly? Okay, give me these batteries.
Yes.
So we've talked about traveling with the Q. We've talked about traveling with the M. We've talked about charging. We've talked about super cool old vintage camera bags for the R system. But we haven't talked about the SL system. Now, the SL3 and the SL3S are the current flagship SL cameras, and I think the current flagship technology platform for Leica. But of course, a lot of this logic could also apply to the SL2, SL2S, SL601 as well. Now,
Sure.
The SL system is traditionally considered to be the system you bring when things are more serious, because it is larger and heavier. Although what I really found is that with the right strategy, It's nominally larger and heavier than the M setup that I often use.
True.
Well, since you're kind of doing the walkthroughs here,
Yeah.
could you walk me through, starting minimalist, a travel setup where you're bringing an SL3
Yep.
and you're looking to not go overboard with the size and weight, but to gain access to the functionality the SL3 or SL3S offers that the Ms do not?
Well, let's take a look at the SL3S. Perfect.
there we
Okay.
go.
Now, of course, Leica came out with these 35 and 50 millimeter non-aposimicrons, which I have mounted here. We get an overhead shot.
Nice.
And the SL3, if you're not familiar, is actually smaller and lighter than the SL2 and the SL601 before it. It is noticeably shorter this way and a little bit shorter that way. And 70 grams lighter or something like that?
More than that, I think.
More than that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty noticeably.
It's very
I
light.
think it's a combination of the improved ergonomics and the lower weight. It does make it feel quite a bit lighter.
Yeah. So it is lighter, and then this lens weighs practically nothing. So if you are looking for the lightest weight setup with a native SL lens with full weather sealing, the 35 or the 50 non-aposimicrons are going to be the way to go. That being said, people said, Leica, I need that.
This,
Nope, in front.
this,
Yep.
this.
Leica has come out with, and I think our last episode was about this.
Ooh, shiny.
Yeah, our last episode was about this, which is the 28 to 70 2.8, which is it's a little bit heavier than the previous one, but it's also covering 28 to 70, which is pretty usable range, right? That's almost a full M kit from 28 to 70 millimeter. And it is constant aperture 2.8. You do have an image stabilized sensor. It does shoot, SL3.
Yeah, we covered. This
we covered all this.
we did 2 hours on this lens last show, so definitely.
This is your minimal setup.
We had talked about wanting to take one to Germany. I think someone had asked. Unfortunately, they're so hard to get that we still don't have one in our demo pool. So this one we also had to borrow from Leica at the last minute. Thank you to Leica for that. But it is not that much more unwieldy than a Q camera with a grip and a thumb support, but a heck of a lot more flexible for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's bigger. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
It's not going to take the place of a Q.
Look, you can see this side by side, right?
Yeah, but it's not. I don't know.
They're actually the same height. You can't see that, but they are actually the same height. So they're just as tall, and
with the grip on it.
Yeah, with the grip on. I do have the grip on the Q here, as well as the thumb support, just to kind of give a more apples to apples comparison. But of course, this is a 28 to 70, and this is a 28. So
Right.
you're definitely getting that extra focal length. But the body alone, if you just look at the body, the SL3 body is not much larger than a Q3 body.
Yeah.
Without a lens.
Yeah, I mean, the SL3 and the SL system in general gives you a level of power and control you don't have with anything else in the lineup. The obvious ones are, of course, autofocus, sensor-based stabilization, insane flexibility between the entire M-mount alliance, M lenses, R lenses, any other lenses you want, and a level of customizability that no other camera has. So you have custom function buttons, a completely customizable quick menu, and it's just very personalizable. What's the word I'm thinking of? Yeah,
Customizable?
You know what I'm trying to customizable. It's a camera that you can, as you begin to master it, really mold to your needs while still being extremely fast and extremely versatile. The SL3S especially, one of the biggest and I think most justifiable complaints over the last 15 years of Leica autofocus has been that the tracking and the continuous focus has been lacking. And Leica has taken that seriously. And even though it's taken them quite a while, the SL3S represents a huge jump. In fact, Jose has some comments on that because he's been doing some video work, I think, with the SL3S. Not to put you on the spot, but feel free to chime in.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, the autofocus has improved a lot, for sure. Just obviously the low light performance is as good as the SL2S or even better. But yeah, the SL3S has gotten much better autofocus, both for video and photo. And it's way more usable now for a lot of scenarios. I mean, it's a game changer for sure. So even over the SL3, which also improved autofocus over the SL2 generation. So
yeah, we saw the SL3 introduce phase detection Then the SL3S enhanced it even more.
Like double the amount of autofocus points.
I was obviously in Germany with David,
Sure.
and then instead of going home at the end of the Century event, I went to the Nürburgring, which is car heaven if you've never been there, and I took with me the SL3S and the new 7200 with me, and photographed trackside for 2.5 days in the 98-degree sun. But it was amazing to have. To be able to just put the focus point on the car, just as it's coming around the corner, it's like firing off 5 frames a second, and every shot is in focus.
Yeah, the XL3S actually will do continuous focus tracking up to 30 frames per second.
Yeah, I just didn't need that. For
Right,
what
but
I was
that's
doing.
but it's,
yeah. I also didn't want to have 80,000 images to look at. But anyway, my point is, and I actually had it with me all day.
Yeah.
Obviously we hiked around quite a bit, just getting different vantage points, and I was ecstatic because the last time I was there, I had an SL2 with a 50,
Yeah.
which was not the right tool for that job. So going back there, knowing I was going this time, not making a last-minute trip, and then knowing the environment and understanding what tools I needed, which was telephoto, fast aperture, and the fastest autofocus I could get, the SL3S and the 7200 made the perfect combination for that. Because my experience has been the 7200 is one of the fastest focusing lenses, especially on the zoom side. And I didn't need anything longer. So for me, it was just about speed, and I wanted to shoot wide open.
Yeah.
And because the autofocus is good enough now, I can actually shoot action wide open because I don't need to lean on the depth of field to catch any mistakes.
for sure.
And I loved it. The other lens I brought, if I could just tangent for a moment,
Yeah.
kind of going on the theme of using different lenses to get different creative results, is a lens that actually is a lens that I own, which is the M lens I use the most by far.
You're jumping the gun a little bit.
Why?
Oh no, just because of we're going to talk about this as a accessory. But
Oh.
go ahead.
Well, we can
talk
talk
about
yeah,
that too.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You caught me off guard. I was like, yeah, I was like,
Fine.
right. So, well, one of the things I talked about earlier was the versatility of the SL system. You can go out with an M body and use M lenses, and that's one experience. But of course, with the M adapter L, which has been around forever,
Since before the SL.
since the TL,
Yeah.
since it was called the M adapter T.
That's right.
You can use, of course, M lenses on the SL cameras. And for me, that's been one of the most fun ways to take advantage of, especially vintage glass. And the lens that I've been using the most by far is this one. This is my favorite M lens. I'm sorry, it's not 35 Apo.
Oh, no.
Well, because I use SL Apos most of the time, because I shoot SL a lot. This is my 50 Summilux version 3 preaspheric. So I'll do a close-up of this thing. Let me get an overhead. And I love this lens. I don't use it all the time, but I love this lens because it's extremely small, it's extremely light, but it renders like nothing modern. It's got a wild rendering, especially at the closer focus distances. So when I pair it with an SL Apo and maybe an SL Zoom like the 7200, I can put those away and pop this on the camera, and I can, which I'll do now, and I can have a totally different user experience. And also, I can have a much lighter setup. So if I'm going to be going out, let's say going out for lunch or going out for dinner, I don't want to bring the SL3S with the 7200. I just bring it with my 50 Lux preaspheric. I think this is one of the best M lenses ever. It is not sharp. It is not that easy to use. It is not easy to find.
Wow, you're really selling it.
I'm just saying, but from a pure joy standpoint, especially because it's only 275 grams, so it's super light. It focuses at 0.7 meters. I don't know. I adore this. I spent like 18 months trying to find a really good copy, and I found this one. Had it 6-bit coded, yada, yada. Anyway, my point isn't how special this lens is. My point is that when I'm traveling, I'm allowing myself, yes, to have a 7200, which is not a small lens. It's a large lens relative to the stuff we're used to. But I also know that when it's time to go to dinner, when it's time to go out and do more like trackside stuff that's off the track, I can pop on my 50 Lux, get a totally different look. So I really feel like I'm allowing myself to take this creative diversion from the classic like 200 to 2.8 autofocus motor drive setup to this absolutely wild rendering. And I don't want to lean on it too much, but when I can take advantage of it, when the light's right and I got the polarizer and everything is coming together, it looks like nothing else. And it's fun to share those images with non-photographers because they know there's something special about it. And maybe they can't articulate it, but it adds a level of like charm to the photographs as well.
Je ne sais quoi?
Sure. What's the German equivalent of that? With like
I don't
87
know.
syllables. So anyway, that is that was my actual kit
Sure.
for Germany was the SL3S, my 50 Lux preaspheric, and the 7200, and that was
Wow.
pretty much all I brought.
Okay.
And it was great. I shot a ton. I haven't actually looked at those images yet. I really wanted to before this show, but I had absolutely no time. So
Now, if you ask me say, David, what is your?
oh, I see. So you've been talking about your kits this whole time, so it's only fair that I had my
No,
share.
but
I will ask you,
Yes.
when you are in an SL-centric traveling mindset,
as I often am.
I want to know why and why you deviate from the M travel
You
mindset,
can hand me the other one.
and I want to know how you build out your SL kits. Sorry.
Well, I keep it pretty simple.
Do you now?
I carry
Tell us more.
I carry more stuff. So this actually is my lens, which you probably can tell. We don't usually show this one on camera.
Well, it's important to know that you do use your stuff.
Okay, this is my, I would say this is my most used of anything that's on this table. One camera, one lens setup, and I just banged it.
Then you hit the tripod bracket. It's okay.
This is it. And probably for those who watch the show or know me or know my work or have been on a workshop with me, you already know this. So this is an SL3, the one with the white lettering, not the black. So this is the full 60 megapixel resolution, because generally I'm shooting mountains and trees and things. They don't move very quickly. I don't need the ultra high performance autofocus of the SL3S because I'm not shooting cars that
right.
do move quickly.
They do move fast. Yes.
Right. And I rarely am shooting a lot of wildlife. So the SL3 for me, I take the resolution, the single shot resolution, I should say, over the speed of the SL3S. And my favorite lens, still, it's the first SL lens that was introduced in 2015 along with the SL601. And it still remains my favorite, which is the 24-90, 2.8 to f4 Vario Elmarit. I love this lens. It is not the lightest. And it's not the smallest. I mean, it doesn't even fit in frame here, like if I put it there, it does.
There you go.
And this
Looks good though. I'll tell you that.
looks fantastic. I mean, well,
not your lens.
Yeah,
I mean,
let's
just
not
saying
look
like
too
just the
closely.
generic combo.
generically, yes. For me, this was the zoom that changed the way I look at zooms, because prior to this lens, even I would say, even with zoom lenses and the R system, which I dabbled in, zoom lenses, there was a 30-90 for the S that was quite good. Still, I always went to the prime lenses because I felt that extra level of quality was worth having multiple lenses rather than one all-in-one. The 24-90 absolutely changed that for me because it was the first zoom lens that at each of these marked focal lengths was as good or better than M lenses, prime M lenses in all these focal lengths. And I don't think that you could say that about a lot of products.
No,
right?
the 24-90. Look, I mean, I've been testing lenses against this lens for ages. It's still the standard bearer for a zoom lens in the Leica portfolio.
Absolutely.
It's crazy good, and it's so versatile because, like you've said many, many times, traditionally we're used to the 24-70, which is a lens also even now Leica has.
Yep.
That extra 20 millimeters can make a huge difference.
Totally does.
And really be the difference between having to bring another lens
Yep.
or go out just with this kit by itself.
Right. And if I'm going to go back to that inspiration one, I think I actually shot this lens here, didn't I? Yep. Here you go. So
right.
go back to the computer for a second. So this is that exact scenario because this is what I'm using primarily when I'm traveling and going on workshops. So this is an SL3 with a 24-90, and it just covers what I needed to do.
Looks like a mountain.
It, like I said, it's not moving. Focus was very easy on this one. And this is just one of thousands of shots that I've gotten with this
Now,
lens.
you took this photo on a workshop.
I did.
So if the viewers
Yeah.
wanted to take this photo,
Yes.
let's say they saw this photo and they went, wow, I need to go on a Leica Star Miami photo workshop because clearly
Well, this was also taken on a
being
workshop.
surrounded by incredible Leica photographers and incredible scenery is going to result in insane pictures.
Yes.
Let's say I wanted to get pictures like that.
Yes.
How, David? How would I sign up for a Leica Star Miami photo adventure? What
Well,
would one do?
You would go to Leica Store Miami, and you would go to workshops, and you would see that we have workshops available.
Wow.
Yes, it is amazing. So we actually have spots available for our Colorado Fall Color Adventure that I will be leading with Colin. the Scotland, Outer Hebrides, and Highlands workshop that I'll also be leading, and amazing, the Japan one that I will also be leading with.
Look
Colin.
at that. You're a busy man this year.
Yes, so we have spots available, and I am off just in about 2 weeks to go to Faroe Islands to go shoot puffins and waterfalls and other things. Nice. So we also have great astrophotography workshops, monochrome workshops, etc.
Yeah, and having been in a few of these years ago, and more recently seeing the images that our attendees get from these workshops, I will tell you that if you've got a Leica kit and you feel like you're not using it enough or you're not pushing it enough, this is the opportunity to do it. Because you not only are going to be in these incredible scenes that David and Colin and Peter have essentially curated for you, you're going to be surrounded by a bunch of other Leica photographers. And that collective enthusiasm and mindset will drive you to take better photographs. And one of the coolest and probably most underappreciated aspects of the workshops are the friendships that you'll make. We have a lot of individuals who've gone on our workshops and then have gone on to travel together on their own, independent of these workshops.
For sure.
Some of them are probably watching today. And there's a lot of alumni who go on multiple workshops, and so you build those friendships, and you become kind of part of this little Leica Cerami subculture of photo adventure alumni. So if you are interested in any of these programs, or you just want to hang out with David in the wilderness for a week for some crazy reason, you can see them all on our website. You can also reach out to us if you have any questions about them. Slots tend to fill up fast, especially for the new ones. So just keep in touch. It is a really, really good way to push your gear, whether it's SL or Q or M, Deluxe, anything, even Velux, Deluxe, whatever, to its limit to get images like that David was showing earlier.
And I would say, Jose, you can go back to us here. I mean, the other thing that I think is somewhat unique about our workshops is we are Leica focused. We're also extremely small group. I mean, usually we're 6 to 8 people with usually 2 guides, where we don't want these huge groups of, 20, 30 people like all clamoring around. We want these to be small, intimate, unique destinations. And it's also why the friendships are so strong because, we're sharing meals, we're sharing these experiences, we're, sometimes suffering, but briefly, because frankly,
You suffer for the arts, David.
because frankly, we don't like to rough it that much. So we stay in the nicest hotels and have the nicest meals. And it's more than just the photography. But like I was saying, when we started out, the kind of class 1 travel and class 2 travel, there is something so liberating about that second class of travel, which is traveling specifically for photography with photographers. You're never being nagged.
Right. No one will judge you if you bring 27 lenses. In fact, you'll be the belle of the ball if you do that.
You would. But I will say, no one's, pulling on your arm like, when are we going? I'm tired.
Well, it usually happens they're pulling on David's arm because it's 2 a.m. and he's wandered off into the wilderness. Come on, we are tired.
So we are prioritizing the photographs, the locations, the light. We're getting there at the right time. We're staying long enough.
To interrupt you for a second, what David and Peter and Colin have done is they've done all that legwork.
Yeah.
So you don't have to wander around and figure out where, like David and the team have created these programs with a very target-rich environment, which is what I'm always amazed is it's very efficient. You can get there and you're not spending time figuring out where to shoot. You're spending time making amazing photographs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is, we go to fantastic destinations. The groups that we have are awesome. Like, and the fact that I always hear how appreciative, I'm sure there's some comments. I'm not watching the comments right now, but there's probably some comment from somebody in there saying how awesome the workshops are and how much fun they have. We don't get to be kids again, right? You don't get to go to summer camp or whatever. This is the closest thing to that as adults. Because
if you ever wanted to be drunk with David on a glacier, go on a photo workshop. I'm just saying.
We weren't drunk. It was just a little scotch. Yeah, we always provide scotch. So these are really unique experiences that can both, it's a great experience, it's a lot of fun, but also there's no better way to learn your gear than to get out there and use it and use it and use it and like really push yourself, that it's not just 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, a little bit before dinner, after dinner, and squeezing it in here and there, but purposely going and using it with intent. And it makes such a difference because we see so much growth from people from the start of certain trips to the end. And it's amazing when we're looking at all our images together in the hotel lobby over some scotches, and it's great.
And I want to throw in another thing. I don't know if you've ever mentioned this before, but I think there may be maybe there's an intimidation or uncertainty about the prep for the workshops. David and Colin, or whoever's going, you do pretty lengthy
Zoom calls.
calls with attendees prior.
We do this episode.
Yeah.
But
So if you're thinking about a workshop, but you're saying to yourself, that's such an exotic destination, or I'm not sure what I'm going to do, and I'm going to show up and be unprepared, that will not be the case, because you will get a very thorough video call with David or Colin or whoever's going to be on that workshop, one-on-one, where they will go through with you all the things you can expect, gear strategies, clothing strategies, packing strategies, travel strategies. Anything was covered ahead of time. So it is a fully immersive experience before you even go on the workshop.
Yeah, and just I think I see some workshop people answering questions, but shout out to you guys. We actually do have a rating system. I will show that really quick. So if I just go to the workshop here, you'll just see we have a little kind of like star rating system.
Well, those are circles, not stars, but,
well, whatever. Physical activity, photographic intensity, food and accommodation, cultural, and good for non-photographers, because some people want to take spouses or partners or friends along with them, which is great. But if they're not a photographer, they may not have the same kind of fun you're having. They might be like, why are we still standing in this one spot for 3 hours? And everyone else is, oh my gosh, the light is amazing. They're like, what are you looking at? So different ones, for instance, like Japan, you'll notice it's great for non-photographers, not as much physical activity. It's not a severe weather situation, great food, great cultural immersion. So we have different kind of trips that definitely cater to different kind of people. We have really, really adventurous ones. We have really landscape focused ones. We have really cultural focused ones. And it's that balance that we're always trying to do. And you say, David and whatever, you should say Peter.
Right,
and
yeah,
the team.
because you're sitting right next to me. Peter really does most of the work. And
Peter's the brains behind the operation.
And then Colin, and then David is kind of there.
I'm just kind of there.
But it is the experience that you need to take your Leica gear and use it the way that those engineers made it to be used when they put it together at the factory, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So now it's basically 10 o'clock, and we didn't talk about bags, which is exactly what I said was going to happen. But here's what I think.
Yeah.
I think if the survey says we can do almost like a part 2, but more like storage centric, if we want. And
we did an in the bag episode.
Yeah, well, we did that years ago, so I think we can. I don't want to rush the bags in the next 3 minutes.
We have so many bags.
I think we should do this. We'll come back and do a bag discussion. So definitely drop comments in the video about what you want to see bag wise.
I think our next episode is in a little over a week, right?
Is it?
Early August.
It's a couple of weeks.
Early August.
It's a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So we'll do that.
It's soon.
So let's do this instead. Let's take the last 2 minutes and just address any questions, because we haven't taken any questions for the last 2 hours.
Right. Let's just do questions.
Jose, if you could please throw us a few minutes for the questions that we can answer, that would be swell.
All right.
Jose's like, yes, finally.
Let's see.
Who is that guy in the little box?
Yeah,
over
I don't know. He just showed up. I'm not sure.
Oh my God. You've been here the whole time?
Let's see. I mean, it's a lot of general questions.
That's okay.
but,
Just,
yeah.
if we can help, we will.
Okay, so I'm headed to Torrey Pines next week for a relaxing trip with my wife. I'm struggling with camera choice. Would you bring a Q2 or an M11 with a 50 Summilux?
Well, it depends, because
Wow, those are so different.
didn't give us enough context. But I would say it depends on the patience of your spouse. If they are very patient, bring the M, because you'll probably get images that are more special. But if they're not, the speed of the Q.
Can I just say bring both?
Yeah, bring both. Next question.
I'll just stick with a Q.
Yeah.
That's it. Going to Faroe Islands. What should
So am
I
I.
bring?
Wait, who's going to Faroe Islands? Who's that?
That's Manny. Am I
Your
right?
buddy, yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Going
Okay.
with you, so.
Well, bring one of these.
Definitely.
Because if you want to shoot puffins, you definitely want reach. I was shooting the 90-280, which again, just like the 24-90, the 90-280 is like going to come to the grave with me. But the 100-400 probably is going to be the best lens that Leica has for the shooting puffins. They're like this big. You can't get too close because you'll spook them. So we have to maintain a little bit of distance. The 100-400 will give you all the reach you need with great autofocus speed and stabilization. So I would do the 100-400 for puffins. But also in Faroe Islands, a lot of really wide scenic vistas. I was using actually the 14 to 24 quite a lot for capturing these kind of epic floating lake and waterfall things in Faroe Islands. So the 14 to 24 would be great if you're talking about SL.
Right. Right. You didn't give us any specifics.
You didn't give a specific,
so-
but I would say,
yeah.
I mean, look, I'm just going to say the Trinity, right? Or modified Trinity. So either the 14 to 24, this or the 1635, and either the 24 to 90, or the 24 to 70, or the 28 to 70, and say a 100 400. And that'll get you covered in the Faroe Islands. That's what I'm taking.
All right,
Just bring them all.
Two more questions.
All the lenses.
What else we got? Give us a couple more because it's already 10 o'clock.
Gotcha. I'm planning my European trip. Prefer taking with me one camera body and one or two lenses. I think this is gonna apply to a lot of people. The main thing will be architectural and street photography. Ideal for gear to be small and light in weight. What would you suggest?
Any system?
It says one camera body and one or two lenses. I'm guessing
M.
M?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would go back to what I already said. So I would say the an M body with the say the wide angle Trialmar and a 35 f2 or 35 1.4 of some variety. But let's say either the 35 Summicron or the 35 Summicron Apo, and the wide angle Trialmar would be a great choice if you're doing a lot of architecture.
Okay.
And you could easily go to 21 for doing your street photography.
Yep. Perfect. All right. I want to add a 28mm lens to go with my M11P and 50 Apple. Should I just get a Q3 instead of an M lens?
Well, that's always a discussion.
Ooh, that's a really good question. I mean, ultimately, that comes down to if you want to be using your M with a 28 or if you're willing to go to a totally different camera. Now, it's not totally different, but it is fundamentally different, meaning electronic viewfinder, autofocus. I would say probably a Q3 will give you better diversity, but I don't know how much of a diehard M photographer you are. If you're someone who's the M is an extension of your body and you just love it, I would get the new 28 Summicron, the version 3. That lens is incredible. It's got close focus, great redesign. If you are interested in expanding your options to get something autofocus with macro and weather and dust sealing, the Q3 is a lot of value for money.
And like you said, it's a great going out to dinner camera.
Exactly. So I would say my gut reaction is Q3, but without knowing more about your M existence, I don't want to say that without having
And
more
proclivities.
Yeah, more context. But that's my gut recommendation.
Okay. Cool.
Cool. That's it.
Did we cover?
I mean, there's probably a lot more questions, but honestly,
Couple, but the other two are similar in sense of choosing between M lenses, 28, 35, 50,
Yeah.
75. So,
Sure.
You know.
I'm just going to say one other thing about the SL system. As another option we didn't really cover, which is the Apo Summicron primes. So I'm a big fan of the zooms. Josh is a huge fan of the non-Apo primes because of their size and weight, or lack of size and weight. I just work out a lot, so this for me is my exercise. Carrying around a bag full of SL lenses is how I work out, right?
fair enough.
Right. So otherwise,
For me, it's just the beer.
the beer, the beer.
Because those half
beer
liters,
curls.
those half liters in Germany, those Bitburgers are.
Well, and those glass.
they're heavy. I got to like.
So the other thing though is the Apo Summicrons again should not be slept on. If you are after, and this isn't just an SL.
Yeah.
We've talked about this a million times. Again, it kind of bears repeating. But if you're after the pinnacle of optical image quality of anything on this table, there is nothing better than the Apo Summicron SL lenses across the board, from the 21 all the way to 90. They are the reference class for every other model lens in any system. So yes, they are superior to the zooms in the SL lineup. As good as these zooms are, the Apo Summicron primes are the best. Like, it's very easy for us to say who is this better than this? The answer is always the Apo Summicron SL is the best in that focal length.
Pretty much.
Period.
Yeah. If you come to me and you say all I care about is performance, then I'm going to say then all you should be getting is an SL3 with a couple of Apo SL Summicrons.
Yeah. Which might be a small kit relative to carrying the big zooms. You might be okay. Similar to how we built a kit here, you could take a 21 and a 35 Apo Summicron as a 2-lens SL kit.
I feel that.
That is entirely possible. And let's say that you do have either a zoom lens, because I do want to mention this one thing, because you stole the adapter over there. Another option, if you want to use the zoom, let's say the 28 to 70 because you want something small, but you realize the 28 is just not that wide. What I would recommend is an M adapter, and again, either the wide angle Tri-Elmar, the 21 Super Elmar, or if you can find it, the 18. I often do that. So when I went to Japan, I did bring an SL3 and a 24 to 90 to go along with an M kit, because I did bring 2 kits. And I didn't bring any other SL lens, but I adapted the 18 millimeter when I wanted to shoot wide angle more than 24. Yeah. So again, the M adapter and using wide M lenses or specialized M lenses to complement a single zoom setup on the SL is also a great scenario. So I know we didn't get a lot of chance to talk about as much SL stuff, but it's probably the most flexible system in terms of the different configurations and different choices that you can make, because you not only have access to all the zooms, the primes, but also all the M lenses as well.
There we go.
I do think that this warrants, especially considering all the accoutrement that we have around us, that we definitely should have a part 2-ish of this.
Yes, we will follow this up with a more bag and transport themed episode in a few weeks.
And accessories and other
Stay
things.
tuned
Yes.
for that. And remember, if you like what we do, shopping at Leica Store Miami is the way to keep that going. We obviously value the support of the Leica community, whether you're buying a keychain or a bag or a lens or trading with us or selling to us or whatever. It means a lot to us. So that's who we are. It's what we do. So keep the lights on. So thank you for everyone who supports us. And if you haven't yet, well, it's never too late. LeicaStoreMiami.com. Buy something. Sign us off.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I'm just reminding the people
That's great.
who they're talking to.
I know,
you
I know.
These plaid shirts do not pay for themselves, okay?
No, they do not. All right. Perfect. All right. Well, thanks so much. Obviously, we bit off just a tiny bit more than we could chew.
Surprise, surprise.
No one could have ever seen that
No,
coming.
not even me in the middle of the show saying so.
No, because if anything, we gloss over things in no detail whatsoever.
No, we're not their own.
Not their own.
Not we're known.
So I obviously I believe that everyone appreciates the thoroughness rather than, trying to fit everything in a compressed amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
So we will be back. I'm pretty sure early August. You might actually tell them.
Yeah, soonish.
Actually sooner than usual, because I am going to be leaving for the Faroe Islands on the 7th of August, so it is before then.
Let's see.
100%.
I'm getting there. It is August 4th on a Monday, I think we're doing it.
On a Monday.
Yeah, we're mixing up our days a
Wow.
little bit just to see how things go. So I think we are tentatively scheduled for Monday, August 4th.
Stay tuned.
But we'll...
If you are not already subscribed,
Yes.
do so, and make sure to click the notification bell so you know that when we post new content at weird times, you are ready to watch it. And make sure you're signed up for the newsletter. Link is in the description below. If you missed any of our past episodes, and we referenced a few in this episode, be sure there's a link to the playlist where you can see all of the previous Red Dot Forum Camera Talk videos. Also, little bonus, I believe coming out this coming week, we are going to have a video with Colin, where he's going to talk about some of his favorite landscape kind of accessories and things. Definitely not summer related, because he filmed it in Alaska on a snowy mountain, but it is pretty epic. So that will be dropping on Red Dot Forum as a shorter form video where he's going to highlight a lot of the cool stuff to hold you over until we do our episode shortly after that. And you can always check out red.forum.com for all those reviews and test images and in your bag stuff, updated firmware, etc. So stay tuned to that. And we will see you soon. Thanks for watching. Have a great, well, there's no weekend left. Sorry. It's Monday.
Have a great week.
Have a great week.
That's right.
Thanks to Josh. Thanks to Jose. Thanks for you for tuning in. And we will see you very shortly. Thanks again.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, guys.